All right, all right. Thank you everyone for joining me tonight. This is Farhan coming to you from Noble Sky International. Hope you guys can hear me. All right, thanks guys for those of you who have come in early. I know there's usually people who tend to stream in a little bit later, so we have to give it a bit of time. And those who have come in early, I hope you've enjoyed some of the tunes being played by my team in the background. So team, thank you very much. For those of you who are here, it's already 2022, and guess what? It's almost the end of January already, and time has flown so fast. I hope at this stage you guys have sort of like figured out what you want to do with your finances, things like goals that you may have. And if you're here tonight, I'm going to be sharing with you a lot of very interesting and important information about investing in US real estate. Okay, so let's just get a little bit of the formalities out of the way. Tonight being a webinar, I know you guys have been, I think a lot of us have been stuck in at home since COVID in 2019 or 2020, early 2020, and all of us probably will be very aware of how to use Zoom, right? Let me know if any of you do not know how to use Zoom. Give me a hands up. Okay, I know you guys must know. So very simple. In order for me to serve you, in order for me to give you the best that I can for tonight, I'll just need you to do a very simple thing for me. All right, I need you to make it a two-way presentation. All right, it's not just about me giving you information, it's also tonight about you getting your questions answered. It's about you getting your concerns out of the way, right? So feel free to ask your questions. Okay, the very simplest way you can do that is by typing in your questions in the chat. Okay, I'll be happy to address them. At the same time, I will be asking some questions to you as well. So when I throw those questions to you, I hope you'll answer me, so I know that I'm actually going in the right direction and you guys are actually with me. Okay, great. All right, so the next thing, of course, there are the reaction buttons. You can also do that for me when I do ask for them, so I know that you guys, I still have your attention and this is actually relevant to you. Okay, you guys ready? Okay, so before we begin, let me just ask you guys, any of you familiar with who I am? Have seen me around before, somewhere, whether in person or on the internet or things like that? Anybody? Type in the chat if you have, so I know who you guys are. I see some thumbs up. Who's that? Let me see. Okay. So right. So I've seen some familiar names as well. Okay, great. So we are Noble Sky International. I'm going to be sharing with you my screen. So give me a moment while I get things set up. Bear with me. All right. Let me arrange my screen. Okay, great. So can you guys see my screen? Give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen so that I know that I'm properly set up. All right, great. Okay, thanks guys for the thumbs up. Okay, all right. So this is Noble Sky International. Basically, we've been helping people grow their wealth through US real estate since 2014, and that means 8 years, right? In early January this year, we turned 8 years old, and we are actually a company that is headquartered in Singapore, and we have office set up in the US as well. That's how we actually get to the actual properties on the ground and how we service clients as well. Okay, so I'm going to share with you a few things tonight. Okay, all right. So I want you to know a few things about where I am coming from. Okay, tonight I'm going to be sharing with you three secrets about how we invest successfully in US real estate, how it's going to make a difference to your investment outcomes. All right, and whatever I'm going to be sharing with you tonight will be things that can you repeat the company intro? Okay, just I'll get back to you in a bit. So basically what I'm sharing with you tonight will be things that we have done for ourselves. Okay, as a company, it'll be not theory that we pluck out from somewhere and then we are just sharing with you theories tonight. Whatever I'll be sharing with you will be things that the company has done for ourselves and for our clients. And this is what we'll be sharing with you guys tonight. Okay, so it's not going to be anything that is out of this world that we have never done for ourselves. Okay, and what is important as well is for you to realize that tonight this is a pure information sharing. Okay, there will be nothing for sale. Okay, so I repeat that, there'll be nothing for sale. If you are expecting me at the end of this webinar to sell you something, some kind of I know we are so used to being sold to coaching, to mastermind, to some further trainings and things like that. I'm sorry to disappoint you. there is nothing for me to sell to you tonight. Okay, so you can stay rest assured, you can keep your credit cards in your wallets. Tonight I'll be sharing with you important information. You make a decision for yourself whether this is something that you want to go ahead with. All right. So Akram, just back to you. The company, we are headquartered in Singapore, Noble Sky International. We have been around since 2014. Okay, at the end of the session, I will of course show you a little bit more about the company. And we have set up in the US as well, where we have the actual US team who deals with the properties on the ground, right? So I hope you got that, yeah? Akram, thank you. Okay, so before you spend time with me tonight, before you decide that you're gonna stay put through with me through tonight, all right, it's gonna be at least about 2 hours of your time. I want you to answer this for yourself, whether this is gonna be relevant for you, okay? I'm gonna be sharing with you information that's going to show you how people from outside of the US, basically like yourselves, you are probably outside of the US, right? Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, how you're going to be able to access US real estate and make a lot of money from there. Okay, so at this stage, I want you to just share with me by typing in the chat. Let me know where you are from and what is it that you do. I just want to know who the profile of people I'm talking to tonight. So it helps me to frame myself so that I know I can give the best direction in terms of where I'm presenting this. Right, so let me know, guys, in the chat where you guys are from and what is it that you do for a living. Singapore, and you're doing partnerships. Oh, okay, sounds interesting. KL retired. Okay, wow, we have someone who's retired. Very nice, Dory. Rada from Indonesia doing sales. Valentina from Hong Kong, therapist. Okay. Anyone else? How about the rest of you guys? I see a few names here. Come on. So let me know so I'll be able to you know, it's good for us to get to know each other a little bit better, so I can make sure I'm speaking to the right groups of people. Anyone else? Come on. How about the rest of you guys? Silence means I have no idea. Okay, so I need you guys to know that whether this is going to be useful information for you, right? So this next question that I'm going to be sharing with you will be very, very important. All right, if you understand and know how you can actually invest in US real estate and how this is going to help you access properties over there and make lots of money from US real estate, let me know what will this be worth for you. Okay, for a lot of people, if they come into wanting to learn or wanting to do an investment, usually it's for big reasons, right? Say for me, I want to come in, I want to do an investment, I want to make sure that I make a lot of money from that. It's because it's not just for the sake of making money, it's because I have certain financial goals that I want to achieve. Simple. For me, it's like I want to retire in the next 10 years. Okay? And for that to happen in Singapore, I will need at least 1.5 million Sing dollars. Okay, for me to survive up to 80. Okay, a very conservative number. So if I were to retire at the age of 50 and I have $1.5 million, I'll be comfortable enough to live till 80. All right, so let me know in the chat, what is that number for you that you're trying to gun for, that you're trying to go for in your investments? Come on, let me know what that number is for you. Let me see, come on. Who will be the first one to type in your numbers? Dory says 2 million. Is that US dollars? Sing dollar? Akram says 5 million. Okay. Veronica says USD 5 million. Dory says USD. Okay, great. How about the rest of you guys? PD, $2.5 million. Valentina says 6 million, 5 million. All right, okay, great. So all of these numbers, you realize, are not small numbers, but the good news is that you can get there with the right investment vehicles, with the right strategies. Okay, so I hope you guys are excited because these numbers are very important. Faiz says 100 million. Wow, that's a lot. That's a huge number. And let's maybe you want to share with me what currency are you referring to? US dollars, Sing dollars. And Faiz, where are you from, Faiz?
Malaysia.
Malaysia. Okay, great. So $100 million. You will need a lot of money. I'm sure you have. I wouldn't be asking you exactly what you need it for. Probably you have you know, some other financial goals. Then that would be the number that you have in mind. Okay, so you guys see for yourselves here in the chat that a lot of people have these huge numbers, and hence you realize that if you have a day job, 9-to-5 job, most likely the typical middle group of workers won't be able to achieve that kind of numbers in their lifetime just through savings and salary alone, right? Which is why you're here tonight, to learn about how you can actually invest successfully in an investment vehicle that can help you get to your numbers. Is that right? Okay, so give me a thumbs up if that's where you guys are at. That's what you want to find out, and so I'll be happy to share with you guys. Right? Give me a thumbs up if that's where we are at. Good. Okay, great. Right, all right. So today, before I go ahead into sharing with you more about US real estate, I want to share with you a few things that when it comes to real estate investing, this will be a few problems that we actually face. Okay, Faiz has given more information about to own a hotel and retire inside it. Nice, nice. Okay, so what comes to mind when it comes to buying real estate in your own countries? I know you guys are from Malaysia, so you have people from Indonesia, Philippines, and Hong Kong, also Singapore. What comes to mind when it comes to investing in real estate? Give me one thing that comes to mind. Type in the chat for me. Hello. This is expensive. Okay. How about the rest of you guys? What comes to mind when it comes to buying real estate? Complicated. I see. That's interesting. Complicated. How about the rest of you guys? What comes to mind so that we know that we have actually some kind of thoughts about buying real estate. So Akram says complexity, BS cost. BS does it? Are you referring to what I think it is? BS. Okay. Real property, not paper. Okay, good. Luxury properties. Nice. Okay, so what comes to mind in terms of problems? This is what basically the most common issues that we have encountered as we go into real estate investing, especially coming from the clients that we have been serving. First and foremost, it's always about capital, right? So the amount of money that you have set aside for you to actually invest in real estate. So it's always about the money. When it comes to real estate, people know it's a high ticket purchase in the 6 figures and the 7 figures. So capital is always an issue, right? Point number 2, a lot of you are here tonight because you do not have the time to actually want to work, or rather to manage additional investments, right? So a lot of us have our 9-to-5 day jobs. We actually want to have investments that are working for you so that you actually can get more time. You can actually, I know a lot of people want to retire early, right? For example, so they need to have that financial plan, that you need to have an investment that's working for them so they can actually have more time for themselves. So a lot of people do not have time to handle real estate because real estate requires actual work on the ground, okay? And point number 3, I think this problem is huge. In today's context, there's so many options out there, especially with fintech that gives you so many options, give you access to the stock markets, to cryptos, to everything, right? So people get confused as to what should they really invest in, all right? So maybe you can share with me at this stage what is most popular now in the market. What is the buzz going around about investing these days? Any of you can share with me? NFTs. Who is Noble Sky International? I don't know who you didn't name yourself. Okay, so it must be one of my team members. So Dory says NFTs. Yes, great. So Akram says cryptos. Anyone else? Nora says stocks. Yeah. Okay. So NFTs, cryptos, and the metaverse, right? Is huge. It's new. You can see people are sharing that they're making lots of money. E-brokerage firms. Yeah. But the question is it really the kind of investment you want to go into, right? So tonight you're here, I believe, because you're looking for an alternative, something that makes sense in terms of investing your money, because you have huge numbers that you want to be able to achieve for yourself. Okay. So this is for us in our time doing real estate. We realize this about investing in the local markets that we are in. Okay. So a few things that we think about when it comes to investing in our local real estate. These are the inherent problems. So when we talk about Singapore, Malaysia, and Indonesia, okay, why we have these 3 flags is basically because right now Noble Sky as a company, we serve these 3 markets as our biggest client base, right? We have actually served outside of these 3 countries, but going in 2020 and now we are focusing a lot on these 3 countries. Okay, so first and foremost, it's about being very debt focused. So a lot of the times when we talk about investing in real estate, first thing that comes to mind will be, okay, I can put in a deposit and then I'll need to take up a bank loan. Okay, so when you think about that, it basically means that you need to have a good credit profile so that you can qualify for a loan and then you can buy a property, right? So that is usually problematic, especially if you do not qualify for loans, and hence you price yourself out from being able to buy real estate. Point number 2, there are always very few discounted options in the market. Discounted options very important when you come to buying real estate, is because if you were to buy at market value, you will always find yourself caught out because the market may go up, may go down, and then you'll not be able to make your money as fast as you think you would. All right. And most of the time, if you do get any kind of discounts, will be direct from the developers maybe, but that's usually not very much in terms of discounts. And okay, limited here, very true for smaller countries, say for like maybe in areas like Malaysia, maybe like Indonesia especially. So especially properties will be very popular, very high in demand in maybe in the built-up areas, in the office area, in the CBDs, right? But outside of the area, where it's in maybe in the outskirts, in the countryside, there may not be as much value to the real estate as there is for the CBD areas, right? So for example, KL will be very, very good market to be in, and then outside of KL may not be so happening, right? So when that happens, when everybody's crowding into the same place, it becomes very limited availability, very limited choices for you to want to invest in properties. Okay, low returns. I'm going to share with you some case studies that we're going to be comparing for you guys, especially in Singapore and in our region. The returns not very, very exciting. So we'll need to see, if you want to put your money in real estate, how is it going to work out for you, all right? Duties payable, this is very applicable to Singapore. The more properties you want to buy, the more you have to pay in terms of taxes, and in terms of and the tax rates are extremely high. So for Singapore, basically it's a rich man's game. So you end up paying a lot more in terms of taxes rather than the price of the property itself. Okay, and title ownership. The last point about this is if you are a foreigner, like tonight you wanna invest in the US, or if in this case I'm a Singaporean, I want to invest in Malaysia or Indonesia. A lot of the time I will not get ownership to that particular property. What I get is basically, because especially if I need to take a mortgage, or I will basically not get the title deed to the property, okay, because I'm a foreigner, for example. But I'm going to show you how that differs in the US market, right? So let's look at the market a little bit closer in terms of comparison. How does it look like in Indonesia, for example? So this is an apartment Taman Anggrek. Okay, this is a 2-bedder, 2-bath, 947 square feet condominium. So a unit, we're looking at a unit in here. Apartment Taman Anggrek, we are very familiar with this because before COVID, the team from Noble Sky, we traveled to Jakarta to run workshops, like what you're watching tonight in terms of a webinar. We actually used to run 2 days workshops in Jakarta, for example. And every time we were in Jakarta, we will stay in apartment Taman Anggrek because it's just across the road from Pullman Hotel in Jakarta Central that allows us to be very close to the seminar rooms. Okay, and if you want to be a landlord in Taman Anggrek, and you want to make your money through investing in real estate, right? This is what it's going to cost you, right? So it's going to cost you about US $181,000. Okay, and you will need to put up, say, if you have limited capital, right? You need to put up 30% deposit, and then you take out a monthly loan for the rest of the 70%. You're going to be paying about $1,500 to the banks, and then you can get a gross monthly rental of about $500 a month. Okay, at this stage, let me know, does this look like a positive return or a negative return to you? Type in the chat for me whether you think this is positive or negative. All right, guys, let me know. What do you guys think? Negative. Radha says negative. Akram says negative. Okay, anyone else has a thought about this? Okay, so you guys are saying negative, right? So if you see, you take $500 as your income every month, but then you have to pay $1,500 to the banks. Basically, that's a negative return. And this, but if you were to look at the numbers without taking into account payment of the loans and then all the other maintenance, you're still making about 3.31% gross yield in this particular property. Okay, so that number is not very exciting. So how do you actually make money from this property? You probably have to wait for some time for the market to be on an uptrend. For example, you can sell it for some capital appreciation. Maybe you gain 5%, maybe you gain 10%. That's how you're probably going to make your money. Because from the rentals, as you can see, it's not very exciting. This is not a positive kind of investment. And frankly, I wouldn't want to be in here if I want to actually make my money in real estate. Okay, let's take a look at the case in Malaysia. This is a Verve Suites in Montclair. Again, of a similar configuration, 2-bed, 2-bath. Again, our team, Noble Sky International, whenever we travel to KL, for example, we want to run workshops over there. we will stay in Verve Suites, the whole team, because they have quite a big size apartment. We can stay in there. And if you want to be a landlord here, you want to be an investor, at the point in time when we did this, the numbers look like this. Okay, you can buy a unit in Montclair in Verve Suites for $198,000. Okay, and the capital layout again 30%, down payment will be 59.4. The monthly loan will be 7,500. So because the interest rates at that point in time that we were looking at these numbers were lower than that of Indonesia, we monthly be paying about 750 a month to the bank. Okay, so now let me know, you can make about $801 a month in terms of rental. Is this a positive or negative kind of income for you? What do you guys think? Type in the chat, what do you think? Whether it's you think it's positive or whether you think it's negative. So I need you guys to be Valentina says, Mayor. Radha says still not that good, positive, like slightly positive. Slightly. Okay, so basically you guys can see here that it looks like it's positive, but it's not very exciting numbers. Yeah. So Bang Yan says not enough. So I know a lot of us, remember we have big money that we want to achieve, right? You guys have mentioned 1 million, 2 million, 5 million, 10 million, 100 million. If you're making this kind of income on a monthly basis, right, then it'll be very, very problematic because you're not going to be able to grow your money fast enough to get to your financial goals. So you guys get it, right? But let's just be a little bit more forgiving. We look at these numbers and we realize that, okay, if you were to not take into account the loan repayments and all of the maintenance, you're still making about 4.85% gross yield. Okay, I want to share with you a little bit also about what's going on in Malaysia market. Okay, in last year, 2020, somewhere in the mid of last year, one of the developers actually offered properties in Johor Bahru for 50% discount. I know that sounds crazy, and the reason why this happens is because there is probably still property overhang in Johor Bahru, in JB, in the area of JB. So what happens is there's an excess supply of properties in the market. What's going on is that the developers, in order for them to sell off their inventories, they need to sell it off at such crazy discounts, so 50% discount. Okay, so this particular buyer in Singapore says that he was shocked because he bought his unit at 1.82 million in 2015, and overnight his property value has dropped to half, which is $900 million. Okay, for me, this is a scary market to be in, and fortunately or unfortunately, I do have a unit in JB, in the Puteri Harbour area. At this stage, I do not know whether I will be able to recover from there. Okay, because this is for us to understand what the markets look like. Okay, and then we also got another article that came out in October of last year, talking about the bigger picture in Malaysia, in Peninsular Malaysia. There are a lot of abandoned projects as well. So we have a lot of developers, 79 housing projects that are being abandoned. Developers basically disappearing. They can't go ahead with their projects, and a lot of buyers are being stranded. So in this kind of market, okay, it becomes problematic. If you're going to enter the market, you realize that if you were to buy a unit in Malaysia, you might have a problem in terms of being able to first and foremost get a positive income, right? And then the next thing is about probably being able to sell it for profits. So when there is a glut in the market where there's so many properties available in the market, then it becomes very problematic. Only pockets of areas maybe can give you profits, but outside of that, you're going to be able to, you probably might take a long time waiting for the market to recover for you to make your money. Okay, so let's take a look at how the Singapore market looks like. So I know I'm from Singapore, and I've shared about Indonesia and Malaysia. So I'm not about to share any good news for Singaporeans as well either. I'm sorry, guys. So the case in Singapore actually is, to me, the worst of the three countries. This is what it looks like, a similar configuration. In fact, this is smaller, 2-bed, 1 bath at only 678 square feet, City Lights and Lavender. This is actually outside of the CBD area in Singapore. If you want to buy a unit here to be a landlord, it's going to cost you about US $857,000. So understand that this costs at least about 5 times more than the Indonesian and Malaysian example. So if you want to be able to buy this property, so if you're a Singaporean, right, guess what, guys? You're going to be able to buy a property to own this as a landlord, right? And it's going to be a second property. Remember, we're talking about investments here. You need to take out at least about 60% of down payment. Okay, and which is why you're looking at these numbers. just the capital on its own is more than $500,000, $528,000 just for you to come out with the capital. And then the balance 40% is for you to take on a loan. Why is it so expensive? Because this is the Singapore government's policy. Basically, they don't want you to over leverage. They will only allow the banks to lend to Singaporeans a 40% loan for second properties onwards. Okay, so for people who do not have $500,000 or more in terms of cash, they're probably going to be priced out of being able to buy properties in Singapore for the purpose of investment. So you guys get to see how miserable we Singaporeans are, right? So monthly loan repayment will be 1,007. Gross monthly rental from this unit will be about 2,160. Now my question to you guys is here right now. Is this a positive or a negative cash flow or income for you? What is your thought about this? It gets a little bit tricky, right? So what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts in the chat. Doris, yes, very tough for Singaporeans. How about the rest of you guys? What are your thoughts? Is this a positive or negative return? Anyone else? I don't think it's very, rather, yes, the down payment is crazy. It's $500,000 US dollars, yeah. Negative for me as a Singaporean, yeah, okay. It's because probably of the down payment that you need to put up first, right? So if you just take simple math, 2,160, Valentina, good question. Who has $500,000 in the bank? Some people do, the rich and the ultra rich, but we are here talking about the general population. A lot of us do not have that kind of money, which these are the numbers we actually want to be able to achieve, but you're being priced out because of how the nature of the market is, right? So yes, Mr. Faiz, that is right. It's very expensive to own a property in Singapore. And this is not even a premium property, right? This is just in the outskirts. Okay, so if we are talking about this and we look at the numbers, taking into account all of this without the loan repayments and monthly maintenance, you're making about 2.71% gross yield. Okay, so understand in the Singapore example, you are making the least amount of money and returns here. Okay, what is the biggest picture here in Singapore actually? If you are a Singaporean, I have some not so good news for you, because this is what it is. Last year in October, DBS came out with a report which states that investing in a second property in Singapore yielded relatively low returns over the past decade. And here, understand, we're talking about the last 10 years. We're not talking just about a particular point in time. We're talking about the past 10 years, Singaporeans have not making low returns from second properties that they buy in Singapore for the purpose of investments. So understand, it's because they have to incur very high taxes. Okay, so for the example, buying a 1.5 million property, second property will have to pay about 15% of property costs in taxes. Okay, so this is basically what it means. 15% of what you pay goes to taxes, equates to losing about 15% of your investment value. So you guys understand, right? Because that 15% in taxes does not form part of the value of the property. So this is like, I like to give this example, right? When you just drive a new car, which costs maybe $200,000 in Singapore, it costs that much or more. The moment you drive out of the showroom, guess what happens to the value of the car? I think you guys know the answer, right? The value of the car will drop by maybe 10 to 15%, right? And this is like this. So my question to you is, would you as an investor want to buy into an investment portfolio where the moment you buy into that portfolio, you lose 15%? Does it make sense to anyone? Does it make sense to you guys? Let me know. Give me a Y if you think yes, or give me a yes if you think it makes sense. Give me a no if you think no, this doesn't make sense at all. So let me see if at least you're in the correct train of thought, and so I can actually help you come to terms with the numbers when we talk about US real estate. So what do you guys think? Will you want to buy into a property portfolio where you actually lose 15% of the market value immediately? Is that a yes or a no for you? Radha says no. Okay, I'm happy that you says no. You said no. Daisy said no. Anyone else? Well, this is a very tough question, isn't it? Doris says no way. Valentina says no. Okay, great. So I know you guys are thinking along this, you have the investor mindset and understanding that investment is always about the money you put in, you want it to grow and not recede in terms of value, not decrease in terms of value, right? So this is not something that you want to get yourself into. So what I want to be able to achieve for you guys tonight is simple. You want to be able to help you overcome these issues when it comes to buying real estate in your local markets. And if you are able to overcome these issues, these problems, it will bring you more joy, less stress, and more money. Okay, is that what you guys want for yourselves. Because now you will have a formula in terms of investing in real estate in the US that's going to help you overcome these other issues that we've discussed. Is this something that you're looking out for? Let me know, give me a thumbs up if that's what you want the answers to, and then I'm going to be able to show you that what we can share with you in terms of US real estate. All right, yes. Do I see any more yeses? Okay, I see thumbs up as well. So great. Okay, thanks guys. So I know you are now ready and you have seen the situation in your own local countries. So now let's take a look at the US market, all right? Before I show you any case studies or examples in the US market, I want to show you the difference in terms of how we buy properties in our traditional way, in our own local markets versus how we buy it in Noble Sky International. I want to bring your attention to the right side of the graph. What do you see is missing when it comes to buying real estate using our method? Okay, so you can see on the left, traditionally what we do is we put in about 30% cash down payment. The rest of it, we take up a loan, all right? And then, you wait and pray for appreciation. Maybe you wait 5 years, 10 years, right? Because we have understood the income from rental is not very exciting. It's not going to help you make big money, right? Because we as you saw, a lot of the times it's negative or very little positive, okay? So you can see on the right-hand side, it's very different. A lot of you have already identified it. What is missing is no loans, okay? No loans involved. So that is one of the strategies that we utilize in buying US real estate, is that we do not use bank loans, okay? So if you understand, looking at the graph on the right-hand side, if you only pay 30% in terms of deposits, and the rest of it being discounts, which means 70% discounts, do you think you will need to wait 5 to 10 years to make your money? I'm sorry to make you do some math, but it will help you understand how we're gonna approach the US market. Right? Do you think you'll need to wait 5 to 10 years if you're actually paying only about 30%, maybe up to 50% of the market value in order to buy properties in the US? You don't have to wait, right? So Doris, Valentina, you guys got it. When you can buy properties at such deep discounts, you actually do not have to wait 5 to 10 years. And I'm going to explain to you how that works, okay? So this is what rental will look like in the US with a single family home, okay? This is a property in Port Arthur, Texas, okay? How it looks like is this. This property is an actual property owned by our investors. Clients that we are serving, we help them to buy this property, and then we're helping them to manage. This is the kind of number that we are looking at in terms of properties in the US. So this nice property, which looks very nice and simple, very decent, right, has a market value of $138,900, all right? And this was acquired for only $38,400. Is it a good number or not? Okay, I'm going to go through the other numbers as well, right? We needed to put in some rehab works for it to be up to code for people to be able to live in. And then all the other expenses, the administrative expenses that went into the purchase. Then we have a total expense of $68,000. Okay, so understand this property has a market value of $138,900, but we only needed to spend $68,000. So there is an equity gain of $70,900. Here you can see the difference in terms of the market value and the total expense is $70,900. So understand this property, if you were to sell it, what is the potential that we can sell it for? How much gains can we sell it for? Come on, I want you guys to type the numbers. For this particular property, what is the potential amount that we can sell and make how much money? Akram, good question. I'm going to get to that point after this, okay? So what do you guys think? Looking at these numbers, if I were to buy this property at these numbers, I have an equity gain of $70,900. How much can I make if I were to sell this property at the market value? Let's see if you guys can sort of like figure this out. Type in the numbers for me in the chat. Faiz says 100K. Okay. Anyone else has a thought about this? 70K. Okay, yeah. Profit, yes. Right, so it's correct, right? So this property has a market value 138.9. After spending 68K, you have an equity gain of 70,900. That is the potential profit that we can make if we were to sell this property back to the market. So you guys understand this, right? So this property, because we buy it at such a low price, it doesn't require you to wait 5 to 10 years to make your money. So understand this property though, is being put up for rental instead of sale. So it's giving the owners of this particular property $750 a month in terms of rental income, and the rental ROI is 13.24% gross, but after you less off a little bit here and there, probably is going to give you about 11-12%. Okay, now my question to you is this: is this 13.24% a better number than the case in Singapore, Malaysia, and Indonesia? Give me a yes, or give me a no. Do you think 13.24% here is better than the case in Malaysia and Indonesia and Singapore? How many of you prefer these numbers? Yep, definitely yes, right? So it's very simple numbers to understand. There is no bank loan to be paid here on a monthly basis. Of course, there'll be some maintenance, some works. Probably you need to call the gardener, somebody need to mow the lawn, and maybe if there's some repair works that needs to be done, maybe a burst pipe and things like that. But there is very small maintenance cost. Otherwise, there's no bank loans involved, and this is what you're looking at. So understand, you're making 13.24% is your rental yield, your rental ROI. You can still make money when you sell the property immediately if you want to make your capital gains. So you guys get this, right? So this is how we work with rental properties in the US. Okay, so you guys like this number, give me a thumbs up so I can go ahead with sharing with you more about how we do this. Mr. Faiz, yes, that's right. So the land, in this particular example, the land belongs to the investor, to the owner. You will actually receive the title deed to the land. And whatever sits on the land becomes yours as well, which is the house. Okay? All right, so here's a little bit more about me. So I know it's a little bit late into the webinar, but I wanted to at least frame you right for you to understand where we are coming from in terms of real estate in the US versus what we do in the local markets. So who am I? I am Farhan. I'm the head of marketing and communications at Noble Sky International. I was formerly a senior officer in the Singapore Police Force for a good 8 years. And I had this mid-career itch. Right, I've always loved the idea of wanting to do business on my own, and so what I did was I needed to just go out and do it. Right, unfortunately in Singapore, if you are a civil servant, you cannot do any other kind of work. You cannot be moonlighting because it's going to be conflict of interest. So I had to make the very tough decision in the end of 2017 for me to quit the Singapore Police Force, right, so that I can actually run my own business. So currently I have a few businesses I'm running on my own marketing agency. I do a product-based business as well as a few other things. And of course, I wouldn't be here talking to you about US real estate if I wasn't myself a real estate investor. Okay, so this is what I'm about. And I have in my own portfolio 5 properties and counting. I'm intending to, especially this year, to increase my portfolio numbers so that I can get to my numbers. Okay, and I'll tell you the reason why I'm expanding my portfolios. This is the very reason why, because I have 3 children, young children, the eldest being in Sec 2 this year, the eldest being Sec 2, the youngest being in Primary 2. So they are still young. And what I want to do is I want to give them the best I can in this life. Okay, which is why I want to have an investment that's working for me. Okay, and I want to be able to retire earlier because for a lot of us, that whole idea about being retiring early can only be a dream if you do not have a strategy in place. And I want to be able to reach that retirement in 10 years' time. So which is why I'm building my portfolio in the US to help me get to my numbers. Okay, I want to leave a legacy. So which means I want to, when me and my wife we are gone, I want them to actually have a pot of money or wealth that they can actually tap on and give them a head start in life for them and maybe for the next generation. And most importantly for me is me and my wife is that we do not want to burden our family. So I know we are very familiar with this whole idea of being sandwich class, where a generation has to take care of their aging parents, at the same time they have to take care of their children. And that becomes very straining for a family in terms of their finances. So I want to be able to not burden my children so that when me and my wife, we are aged, we are no longer working, we still can tap on our investments that's paying for our lifestyle without having to disturb them at all, so they can continue to carry on with their lives. So how many of you are doing this for your family or for your children as well? So type in the chat for me what you're doing this for. Let me know, just type in the chat for me. Is it for your children? Is it for your retirement? What is it for that you want to do? Remember, a lot of you gave me the numbers, right? So you have 1 million, 5 million, 2 million that you want to reach, 100 million. What is it for This numbers that you have, what is it you're trying to achieve? Who are they for? Radha says family and retirement, very nice. Linda says it's a long bucket list. Okay, Linda, I understand. I think you must be an adventurer, right? It must be something that you want to be able to achieve. A lot of things. Okay, Akram says family, nice, perfect. Anyone else? Retirement and family, great. Anyone else? Okay, so you realize when you want to do this for the people you love. Valentina charity is beautiful. I love that idea as well. I should put that in my list as well. Thank you, Valentina, because I think a lot of what we actually derive satisfaction from in this life is actually to be able to give back to other people, right? Not just about yourself anymore. To live happily ever after, Faiz. I love that statement. All right, so in order for us to be able to achieve this life goals, right, we need serious income to help us get there, right? So I know the numbers you have reached. Keep this number in mind because they are achievable if you have the right strategies. Okay, so we are doing this for the people we love. We want to make sure that we are putting our money in the right places, to grow money seriously so that we can get to this number, right? So I'm happy that a lot of you are doing this for your families and even for your bucket list or retirement. It's perfect, it's beautiful. This is what we all want to be able to achieve. And I hope tonight I'm going to be able to show you the way and the strategy of how you can actually get there, right? So you guys good to go? Give me a thumbs up so I can move forward. Yes? All right, very nice. Okay, so what have we been up to since 2017? What we've been doing a lot is for us to help people achieve their numbers, to help people, achieve their life goals. What we've been doing is we've been teaching and helping people to invest in US real estate since 2017, starting from Singapore. Because we are headquartered in Singapore, that's where we got to start serving our community in Singapore first, right? So of course, this was before COVID, where we can happily run classes in huge numbers in Singapore. And then we started to go out to Jakarta as well. Jakarta being one of our biggest markets. Every time we're there, we have lots of people. The people are very nice and warm. And looking at these pictures, I miss all of the people in here because, being able to travel and meet people in person makes a lot more sense than what we are stuck with right now. And then we have gone to Surabaya and Bandung as well. So we've done so many presentations around Asia. We've been to Malaysia, of course, our closest neighbors, running the workshops. And then we've been to Vietnam, also to Cambodia and Thailand. So just a little note, when we are in Vietnam, Cambodia and Thailand, it's always very funny. I always have very fond memories because every time we go there, we are like chicken and duck talking, right? Because they don't understand our language and we don't understand their language. So we always have difficulty communicating. So what we needed to do was to have translators running with us so that they can actually translate the presentations that we're giving to the audience. And what we love about this whole thing is that at the end of the workshops that we run for them, they still understand the message of how US real estate can make a difference to their investment goals. And we still have people from these countries still join us as clients to, grow their money in US real estate. So that was a really beautiful thing about what we do, is because US real estate is the product, but we can serve everyone outside of the US as well, especially in the Asian region, for us to help people grow their money, right? So this was what we've been doing a lot of. And we really want to do is build a community of investors. It's not just about making the money, it's also about getting people, like-minded people together. This photo was in 2018, end of 2018, when we did mastermind, where we actually brought in we flew in clients, about 50 clients joining us. With the front row are all our mentors and partners from the US as well. And then in the middle, you can see Ralph and Ice, who are the founders of Nova Sky International. We bring people together to share more information about US real estate. Okay, and this is what we've been doing. What we want to do is bring people together so that we can leverage on each other to grow our income together. Okay, I want you to take a listen to what Mr. Richard Janey from Singapore has to say about working with Noble Sky.
Richard Janey, I am an owner of an agency back in Singapore, a real estate agency. I lived in Singapore for 40 years, always wanted to get involved in the US real estate, but I didn't know how. So when I met Ralph back in Singapore, he gave me the skeleton or the outline of how to do it. But I think when we came out to Bali, then I met all his counterparts in the US, and it was a very straightforward, open sharing session. So I think it answered a lot of questions which I had in my mind, and It gave us a lot of confidence. We now know exactly who we're going to deal with in the US, and we have a lot more confidence and knowledge now. So if you want to invest in the US, this is the place to go to.
Right, so that's Mr. Richard Janey, how he started out. So I want to share with you about how he started out with Noble Sky International, how we helped him buy 4 properties and achieve 273% in his portfolio value growth. And this is what it looks like when he first started out with us in the end of 2017. He bought into a portfolio of 4 properties in Orange County, New York. So these are the properties you can see. He put his own capital contribution of $45,000, and the group put in $278,000. Understand this $278,000 was all that was needed to buy into these 4 properties, which has a market value of $760,000. So if you just do the simple math, this gave him an immediate growth in terms of his portfolio of 273%. So his $45,000 now can grow by 273% because he bought into these properties. Right? How many of you like this number, that you can actually buy a property at $278,000 to buy into 4 properties which has a market value of $760,000? How many of you like this? Give me a thumbs up if this is something that, wow, you think this makes sense, the numbers make sense, and it's something that you want to be a part of. Give me a thumbs up so I know. All right. Okay, great. So I see people who, yeah. All right. So numbers make sense, right? Simple. Okay. So how do we do this? Okay, I want to share with you another guy, Mr. Damadi Young from Surabaya, Indonesia, how he achieved 17% returns from his Airbnb properties in Houston, Texas. This is what he did for himself. He wanted to just test the market. He put in $5,000 of his own money into a group contribution of $270,000, but this particular property has a market value of $370,000. For this case, the portfolio value growth is only about 37%, which is still good, which is an immediate growth. At the same time, he's earning about 17% rental ROI. I want you to take a listen to what Mr. Damadi has to say. All right.
I'm Darmadi. Yeah, I live in Surabaya, Indonesia. I have a biomass manufacture and trading company. Yeah, small company, but I have a export-oriented market abroad in Japan regularly. I was in a share pot, yeah, of investment in a very nice property in Downblush, Houston, USA. In my opinion, it's a quite luxury house with a very bargain price. You know, that was not from an auction market, but it's quite bargain price. Comparing to what we should, what we should invest in the same property like that in Indonesia, maybe that's very good. And then I enjoy a quite good return from the investment. Per annum, it's about 17%, which is, for me, it's very good. It's just from the rental service, because the co-ownership of the property, the investor still vote to keep the property for them, or until the I don't know.
Okay, so this part of a longer video. Just basically what he's saying is that he's making 17% on the rental alone. At the same time, he hasn't taken into account the property which can be sold later for profits. Okay, so that is what he's saying. So we've been helping people to achieve at least this type of double-digit returns for the investments, and this is what we want to be able to help you guys achieve as well. All right. Okay. So understand, when we share with you these results, it's not for us to brag or to show you guys anything. It's not even our results per se. It is the results of our clients who are investing in US real estate. And it's just to show you how real it is, and that the fact that you can actually do it for yourself as well. So I wanted you to be able to see that this is actually very, very achievable. Okay, so hope you guys are going to keep your eyes and your minds open and see whether this is something that is going to work out for you as well. Okay. So now at this stage, I need to introduce you to someone who's very, very important. He is a dear friend and mentor for myself in US real estate. He is Ralph Syed. He is the founder and chief investment strategist at Noble Sky International. He founded the company, of course, in the year 2014. He on his own has assisted close to 300 investors starting out right? And then acquired more than 50 properties for the investors. At this stage, of course, we have expanded as a team to further serve the rest of the Asian market. Okay, so I need to share with you Ralph's journey, so that from his journey, you can actually learn the strategies as well as some of the mistakes that you need to avoid in order for you to succeed in US real estate, right? So can I go ahead with this? So can I have some thumbs up for me to know that I can go ahead with this? Right, so I want to share with you Ralph's journey so you can understand what went on and why we are doing what we do, okay?
Many of us are looking for opportunities in life that will enable us to empower ourselves to drive towards our goals and purpose. Some of us might find that the jobs we had are just not enough and thus embark on another journey to win this game in life. I decided to take the plunge in entrepreneurship and investing. Not in my own country, but rather halfway across the world in the United States. I left my stable job and started a real estate business only to be beaten, lost, and even more frustrated. I had to leave my family for months, my daughter who was not even in primary school, and my son who was just a toddler. But I badly wanted to win this game in life and provide them with the best, so I had that decision changed my life forever. Hi, Rahul Syed here. I'm the founder and chief investment strategist at Noble Sky International. I'm a proud father of two, Leila Mariam and Yusuf Aidan. I also count my nephews and nieces as my own children as well, and I have my wife and business partner Aisara to thank for as well. They are my reasons why I have been working so hard so they may pursue their dreams and achieve their goals. Giving them the best to score in life was my objective. Coming from a broken family, I knew the financial pain and hardship that my parents had endured while raising my siblings and me. I value their sacrifices that have made me into who I am today. This attitude of persistence and tenacity has pushed me beyond my boundaries to create multiple streams of income in property investments. I built Noble Sky since 2014 and have achieved the highest standard and recognition my business has to offer. I'm proud to say that we are the only company in Asia that has enabled thousands of people from all walks of life from across the region to affordably own multiple portfolios of properties in the United States of America with no debt. I'm highly meticulous, and many who have worked with me will understand that I want the best for all my clients. I continually seek mentors and those more successful than I am in this field to gain more experience, and the intensive research we provide has allowed me to create life-changing decisions for my client. I presented them with my proposal, researched the desired property, and facilitated the whole process to suit their portfolio. Satisfaction on their faces and from hearing their voices after finally owning a profitable property that they never dreamed of before is the driving force for me. I will do the same for you because I was once looking for that purpose and I found my answers. I love connecting with people, and to me, it's not just about making a transaction, but more about having relationships built to last. I look forward to sharing my life's work with you. My life's work has empowered hundreds to realize a life they never once thought possible. My name is Rahul Syed, your go-to US real estate investment strategist.
All right, so that is the story of the founder of Noble Sky International, Rahul Syed. And every time I play this video, I get a little bit emotional because everything that he has to say synchronizes a lot with, syncs a lot with what I think for myself. Exactly why he's doing this for his family, his children. That's what I'm doing for as well. And I suppose a lot of you are out there are thinking the same, right? We are doing this for our family, and as some of you guys have shared with me. And which is why it's important that I share with you the founder's vision and his journey so that we can learn for ourselves when we do US real estate as an option if you guys decide to go ahead with that, right? All right, so this is how it started for our side. Mr. Akram, sir, you're saying that you can't hear anything during the testimonials. I'm not so sure. I think the rest of us are hearing okay. Maybe it's just some settings at your end, right? So anyway, how it started for Raul was basically back in April of 2012. Raul actually went up to San Jose, California to attend a talk by this pretty famous and well-known people, right? So Tony Robbins, you have Donald Trump and Robert Kiyosaki. They talk a lot about finances, about life, motivating, about motivations, about inspiration, about how you want to be able to change your life. But the one who really caught Raul's attention was a trainer, was a speaker who spoke about real estate in the US, and that people from outside of the US, foreigners, can also actually invest in the US. So that got Raul really, really interested. So he decided that he wanted to pursue the idea of investing in US real estate, because I think for a lot of us, if we do our own research, you realize that for a long time, real estate has been the wealth driver in any country, and especially so in the US. So being able to own real estate and invest and then grow your portfolio, that has been a wealth driver for the longest time, right? So Ralph decided that, okay, I'm going to keep some money from back in 2012. So now I'm going to keep some money, about 150,000 that he had for himself then, to start on this business of investing in US real estate. Okay, so but before he did that, he needed to attend a workshop by the trainer, which he met back in 2012, and he attended this workshop, which cost $20,000 for 5 days in Las Vegas, Nevada, for him to actually learn about everything to how he can do it in the US. So he was really ready up and ready, just all pumped up and ready to make this into a business, into something that's going to change his life. All right. So what you're going to get tonight will be part of this in a super compressed version of what Ralph learned during this workshop, but it's going to be jam-packed with the right values for you to get ahead if you want to take up US real estate as an option. All right. So this is what Ralph did. After he learned, he realized this, he thought he could own this property for $5,000, okay, and then sell it for $200,000. Okay, that's what he thought. And if you were to be able to do this, guess what? If you just repeat it a few times, you're going to become a millionaire already, right? So you repeat 4 or 5 times, you're probably going to become a millionaire. You just continue doing it. But unfortunately, the reality is on the ground is this. You can actually own a property in the US for $5,000. That is not a fluke. You can really do that. You can even buy properties cheaper than $5,000 in the US, but probably it's going to be very hard to sell. Okay, because there's going to be works that you need to put in to make it look good so that you can sell it for profits. Okay, but then of course didn't deter Ralph. He said, okay, I've already put my money aside. Okay, and now what he needed to do is go in and buy properties already. So what he was taught was the best place to buy properties at discounts. So remember, a lot of you were asking, right? So Mr. Akram, some of you were asking, like, how do we buy properties at such deep discounts? So this is one of the best strategies that we've done, is actually to buy through what you call tax deductions. So I want to show you this image here. As you can see, the guy with the hat standing in front, he is actually the sheriff. Okay, so this was sheriff in Houston, Texas. The paper behind him is the list of properties that are being auctioned. So understand, the sheriff's department runs property auctions on behalf of the county of Houston, in this case, to the general public. So this public can consist of anyone. So which means you can be a foreigner, you can still come in and then buy properties from the auction. Right, so you guys get it, right? So this is what Ralph did. After he learned from the workshop, he decided, okay, now I'm going to fly up to Houston, Texas, and go for the auctions and buy me some really good properties and make my money from there. Okay, so this was what happened. He went in, he flew up, flying a few 23 hours to Houston, Texas. He bid for some properties, and guess what? He didn't win anything at all. So he had to fly back to Singapore, waited a few weeks for the next auction. He went up again, and then go for the next auction, and guess what? He didn't win anything either, but only on the third auction, which means he flew back to Singapore, waited a few weeks for the next auction, he flew up again to the US, and finally he had won something. Okay, so that was how Ralph started out. And this was Ralph, what he did was, he had won some properties for $28,000. As you can see, this is a receipt that he paid to the county, and this was for, as you can see, it's Audubon Park Condominium. So understand that at the auction, Ralph actually won 4 condominium units at $28,000. Okay, so you heard it right, yeah. So it's 4 condominium units at $28,000, which means 1 unit is $7,000. And this is what the condo looks like. So this is not the typical condo we are very used to, right? The high-end luxurious condo. What this is actually a condo in a blue-collar area in Houston, Texas, that was very popular with people who are working in the area. So they needed to rent a space to be near to their workplace, for example. They will rent in this condo. So this condo were giving Ralph about $3,000 a month in terms of rentals, and basically that's how he started out. How many of you like the numbers here? 4 condo units at $28,000. Give me a Y if you like. If it's a yes for you, give me an N, no, that you don't like it. Y, yes, yes. So Y. Anyone else? Anyone else likes these numbers? Yeah. Okay, great. Why? All right. So of course, I would love this too. And when Ralph had won these properties at $28,000 for 4 condo units, obviously he was elated, right? He was excited. Now put yourself in Ralph's shoes and thinking like an investor. If you suddenly realize you can buy properties at such a cheap price, what will you do next? Let me see, what do you think you will do? What do you think you'll do? Let me know in the chat. If you were Ralph and you know you suddenly can buy properties at such a good price, at such a low price, what will you do next? Type in the chat, put on your investor hat and let me know what you think. Yep. Okay, great. So you guys are thinking along the same line as Rao, and probably that's what I will do the same as well. So you want to buy more, right? So I can see the responses: buy more, again, more properties, yes. But what if this was a one-off? Akram has a very good question. What if this was a one-off, right? So PD says to repeat and do it again. So exactly, before I get there, right, Akram, I'm going to address that. So this a working strategy. So I want to show you how that works. So that's what exactly Ralph was thinking. Said that I've won these properties. I'm gonna go back. He went back to Singapore, and he told his family that he's gonna go up and buy more. That's exactly what you would do as an investor, right? So if you can do this, keep buying properties at such a low price, and then make your money as an investment, will this help to get to your goals faster? Do you think? Is this a yes or a no? What do you guys think? Yes, right? Yes. Okay, great. So I know you guys, actually what I'm asking you questions are very simple mathematics for you to realize that, yeah, actually this probably could be a working model that can help you get there. Right, so back to where Rauf was, he decided that, yes, I'm going to buy more. He went back to Singapore. He told his family that, okay, look, I've won 4 properties in the US. Now I'm going to go back and increase and buy more. So that's what exactly Rauf did. He flew into San Antonio this time around to enter into another auction. But little did he realize, at that point in time, he only had about $10,000 left of his seed capital that he has put aside. The reason being, after flying back and forth from Singapore to Houston and back and up and down so many times, he realized that he had spent so much money on flights, on accommodation, on food and lodging. And of course, he wasn't traveling alone. He was with his business partner. So he spent so much money on all the other expenses that he had only about $10,000 left this time around when he was in San Antonio. So the problem was he didn't want to go back empty-handed, right? You wouldn't want to, after traveling like 24 hours to the US, you wouldn't want to go back empty-handed. And after telling everyone that you're going to get a lot of money. So Ralph became very, very emotional. He decided that, okay, whatever property that I've been bidding for, I didn't win. Now the next one that comes, that's being listed, I'm just going to go for it. So Ralph did exactly that. What he did was, he looked at Google Maps. He saw the property that was on the list. He saw a photo and decided, okay, I'm just going to go for it. So this was when he did this. He committed the #1 mistake of investing in properties, right? Which is what he got. So for $8,000, Ralph actually won this particular property, which on the interior you can see is actually burned down. The story behind this is that this property was used by some druggies who had used this for their where they consumed their drugs, and the place had burned down. And with only $2,000 left, actually lesser after paying some admin fees, there isn't much money that he can do at all. He can use at all to make good of this property to sell for profits. Okay, so this was a loss-making deal for Ralph, and this was when it became problematic, because when you buy properties without research, Ralph was just very emotional about it. He didn't want to lose face, didn't want to go back empty-handed, said, I'm just going to buy. Guess what? He ended up buying into a property which looks like this. Okay, so the only thing that he could do was to just sell off the land plot and just to cover some losses, whatever losses that he could cover for himself. Okay, so this is the biggest mistake of buying properties, and this applies to whether it's in the US, whether it's in Singapore, Malaysia, or Indonesia. If you want to buy into a property for the purpose of investing, you've got to make sure you run your numbers right. You got to make sure you do your research very, very thoroughly, so that you don't end up buying into a property that's going to make you losses. All right, so are we in agreement? Okay, so why couldn't he wait to save up and flip it? Well, basically at that point in time, it's about making money on the go, right? There's a lot of other running expenses. There is now, he needs to also take care of the other properties in his portfolio and things like that. So this was not something he wanted to deal with, right? So he's not going to be able to make huge money from here, even if he were to flip it later. So that's a decision which he made at that point in time. Okay, so that didn't stop Ralph from pursuing investing in the US. What he did was to look out for mentors in the US, for people who have been there and done that, to help him further his business and grow his business in terms of investing in properties. So he looked up people like John and Laura. They are a very beautiful retired couple in the US. They own lots of properties, and they're still with us now, showing us a lot of, giving us a lot of guidance and tips of how we can do this. We've also met with Ray and George Dias. So this pair of brothers whom Rauf met at one of the Brendan Burchard's seminars, they specialize in commercial properties, rebranding of hotels. So they have shown for a period of time, Ray has helped us to also manage our properties on the ground for the repairs and rehab. And we also have Charles and Lida Sales who do a lot of tax lien investing. If this is something that you are interested in, is people who we can refer you for in terms of tax liens investing, right? So having expanded and gotten in touch with people, of course, these are just not the only partners that we have on the ground. We also have a lot of other partners in the US that's helping us grow our business and for our clients as well. So we have learned a lot of things. So through Rao's journey, and of course, as he set up Noble Sky International as a company, we have learned a few lessons which you need to take note of as well. First and foremost, is always about research, and research. Okay, so if you want to make money in real estate, you've got to make sure you do your research right. Okay, the next point is this: an ugly house on a pretty street can easily beat a pretty house on an ugly street. And what this basically means is simple. If you buy an ugly property in an area where people want to stay in, where there's a lot of demand, it's okay that it's ugly as long as you put in the works and then make it look good. People still want to buy. Versus you have a neighborhood where nobody wants to buy, nobody wants to stay in, but then you have a nice house, still nobody's going to buy, right? So this is the next thing that we learned about investing in US real estate. Point number 3 is to watch all expenses. And this is exactly what happened to Rauf, was that he didn't look out, he wasn't being meticulous with his expenses, right? He didn't keep track of so many things, and realizing that in order to actually run a US real estate business, to grow his portfolio, there needs to be more capital and income, right? So this was what he missed out on, and this is something that we also need to take note of when we do our US real estate as a business. Okay, the next thing is to find the right team and mentor. Of course, in the year 2017, towards the end of 2017, and in fact, I joined the company in the end of 2018, was when Rauf decided that he wants to now, after figuring out how it works for foreigners, especially, that he needed to now build a team and with the right mentors and partners on the ground to then be able to serve clients like yourselves who are based outside of the US, and how we can actually serve the investor community. So this is what we have learned a lot about, right? So here are some of the client numbers we have achieved for our clients since July 2018. We have bought about 63. Actually, by now it's more than this. The assets purchase price was under $3.75 million. That means 63 properties, we spent $3.75 million buying for our investors. And this represents only about 30% of the market value, which is more than $12.5 million. So understand this 63 properties has a market value of $12.5 million. We needed to spend only $3.75 million. So this is what we've helped our clients achieve since July 2018. My question to you is, would you like to be a part of such an investment portfolio where you spend only 3.75, you can buy into properties worth $12.5 million? Give me a yes or give me a no if this is something that makes sense. Akram is asking whether all this is from auctions. No, they're all not from auctions. In fact, I'm going to share with you what are our sources of how we buy these properties, where the sources are from. So not all are from auctions. Okay, so this is how we do it when we buy properties in the US. Okay, so in order for us to make sense of the numbers, we need to make sure that we buy properties at the right prices, and then we can actually make our money from there. All right. Okay, so you guys ready for the rest of the information, the strategies that I'm going to be sharing with you? Give me some thumbs up so I know I can move forward. Yep, ready, guys? All right. Ooh, 2 thumbs up, 3, 4, 5. I need 5 thumbs up for me to proceed, so I know I still have your attention. Okay, great. So this is very important. So why do we talk about US real estate? What are the decisions that go through our mind for us to realize that US real estate is the market that we need to be in? Okay, first and foremost is about the market size and abundance of inventories. So if you do not already know, if you just do a quick, simple Google search, type in value of US real estate, you'll realize the number is $36 trillion. Right now, it's going to be more because the market has gone up about 15 to 20% across the board. So $36 trillion, that is 16 zeros behind the number 36. And that is bigger than a few GDPs of a few countries combined. So understand that's how huge the US real estate market is, and there's so many properties that good properties that you can buy into as an investor. Okay. The next thing is about affordability. Properties that we buy in the US are a lot more affordable than local markets, especially if you were to compare Singapore, right? So the average price of properties that are being transacted in the US is only about $250,000 to $300,000. Okay, US dollars. So this is a lot more affordable than properties in Singapore. So that amount, $250,000 to $300,000 in the US, right, which buys a nice landed plot of property, can only buy us the smallest sized HDB property in Singapore, public housing in Singapore, right? So that's how expensive Singapore properties are. So we love the US market because it's a lot more affordable. The next thing is about ease of acquisition. So for me, this was the deal maker for me. So back in April 2018, I can still remember that night I met up with Ralph. I told him that, hey, look, I've quit my job in the police force. I have some money now. I need to invest. I want to put my money in a place that makes sense, that can grow. And I told him that I want to invest in Singapore market, in Singapore property. So Ralph said that, no, you should look at US real estate as an option. And then after he ran with me all of the numbers, I was like convinced, okay, great. I want to go to US real estate. But one thing I can never ever do is to fly up to the US every once in a while to manage my US real estate. And that's when I mentioned to you as a deal maker for me, was because Ralph said that, no, you do not ever have to travel to the US to actually be an investor in the US. And for me, that made sense because I needed an investment vehicle that can make for me the kind of money that I want. But at the same time, I wouldn't have time to go up and down to the US because I have family, I have a job. I have my businesses that I needed to run. And this was the deal maker for me. So I told him that, okay, let's give it a shot. And I entered the market back in 2018 for myself to start building my portfolio from there. Right. Point number 4, land ownership. So remember earlier we spoke about land ownership, right, in our local markets. So in the US, when you buy into a property, you are the land owner. So even if you're a foreigner, it doesn't matter. You will actually own the plot of land. So the title deed will be the deed to the plot of land, and whatever is above the land, which is the house, belongs to you, and whatever is below the land. So if you happen to be doing some gardening in your plot and then suddenly you find some gold or you find some oil or petrol or whatever it is, that belongs to you as well. Okay, so land ownership in the US, it doesn't discriminate against whether you're a local or foreigner. You can still be a landowner. All right, and price to value ratio. So this is a very simple factor, which is basically for every dollar that you spend in real estate in your local market versus in the US, that every dollar is going to grow a lot by a lot more, because the value of the property that you can buy is a lot higher, right? Especially we talk about the equity gains and all that. It makes a lot more sense in the US than in local markets. Okay, so that brings us to the question of this. The biggest rule of real estate investing for us is this: the way we buy things is you make money when you buy the real estate and not when you sell. Okay, so you understand, right? The moment we buy a property at such a low price, that's when we already know that we can make the money without us having to wait many years to sell and then make money from there. Okay, so this is the guiding principle that we use across the board when we buy properties in the US. Okay, so this brings us to the question of how then do we buy properties at such deep discount? So Mr. Akram was asking earlier, right? How do we buy this at such a low price? So one of the strategies earlier you've seen was through auctions. Okay, so this is how we do it in today's context. Okay, we buy into distressed properties. So that's simply the way of how we do this, right? So imagine this property has a market value of $180,000. We used to do a lot of auctions, but in today's context, we have shifted to buying a lot more from wholesalers. And this is what wholesaling basically means: is someone who contracts a home with a seller, right? This property, for example, $180,000, and this seller is willing to sell the property at $65,000 because the house is in a bad shape. It's not going to be able to compare to the market, right? And they somehow need to sell off quickly. This wholesaler, what they do, he will contract the property at 65K, and then he will sell it off or contracts it off to a buyer who's willing to buy it at $80,000. Okay, so what happens is the wholesaler will earn the difference, which is $15,000, and then the new buyer takes over and do whatever is necessary to bring it up to speed, bring it up to code, so that you can make your profits from there. All right, so this is as simple as how we do this. And how do we actually get access to wholesalers, for example? This is we go through so many sources out there to make sure that we buy properties, distressed properties that can give us about 30% returns or more if we are buying it for flipping. Okay, and how we do that is basically we are on the mailing list of a few wholesale businesses, wholesalers, as well as wholesale companies. We are in Facebook groups, we are in forums, we get referrals from our network. So how we do this is basically when we have all of these networks, we get to see things like this. Okay, so this is an email, for example, in a mailing list that gets sent to our assets team. Okay, so our assets team receives such an email. So this is what it is. So this was an offer that's provided to us. So this is 5242 Wabash Boulevard in Jacksonville, Florida, as a price offered at $88,000. So this is what the wholesaler wants to sell to us. And then the wholesaler will provide more information like this. This property has 3 bedrooms, 1 bath, the sizing and things like that. And estimated rent price $1,200. Then currently the tenant is paying $950. So there's already a tenant paying $950. So ARV, which is after repair value, we were to buy this property and repair it and make it look good, we can sell it at about 130 to 140,000 in the market. And the wholesaler even goes on to tell us what kind of repairs we need to put in. So which is, you can see, you need to fully renovate the house. You need new roofs, new aircon, laminated floors, waterproofing, bathrooms, kitchen, cabinets, and paintings and things like that. So we get a very good idea of what this property is like, and then we make a decision like this. Okay. We run deep level research to make sure this is a good buy. Remember the point number 1, that the lesson that we have learned from buying properties for investment is that you need to do your research. So we do deep level research. We look at the properties. Okay, you can have an idea of how it looks like from the outside. On the inside, this is the same property that I've shown you earlier. This is what it looks like on the inside. So it doesn't look good, right? So we need to put in renovation works to make sure that we can sell it for profits. So we have our own spreadsheet where we punch in the numbers, we do all of our research, so we can see this property can actually sell at about $150,000 to $135,000 in the market. So if the wholesaler was selling to us at $88,000, in order to make 32% or 30% and above, we can have a total expense of $118K, 118. Okay, so if you realize this, which means that we can spend a maximum of about $30,000 in terms of repairs for us to be able to sell this at $156,000 and make 30%. So you guys get it? So if we have to spend more than $30,000 for this particular property, we won't buy it, we won't go ahead with it, so that we won't end up getting into a property where we're only going to make 5 to 10%. Right? So our target for a property that we want to flip is 30% and above. Okay. So I hope this answers the question of Mr. Akram's a little bit in terms of how we buy this property. So it's not just about auctions, it's also about a few ways how we do this. Okay, so this is a case study of a property that we got for our investors. So this has a market value of $236,000 in Walden, New York. We had a total expense of $110,000, and this came about because we bought this from the auctions. This one was from the auctions at $42,000. It was very cheap. And then we rehab about $65K, a lot of works needed to be done. And then we, even after spending $110K in total, we have an equity gain of $126,000. Okay, so but we sold this property at $215K. This made the investors 95.45% returns on their cash. How many of you like this idea? How many of you like the number 95.45%? Sean is asking how long is the average time needed to sell the property. So all in all, it takes about 9 to 15 months for the properties to be flipped. So which means from the point of acquisition, to go through all of the admin, the title clearance, to get the deed in our hands, and then to put in the repair works, and then to stage it and then to sell it, might take anywhere between 9 to 15 months. There's a few factors that goes on in between. So we will share you with more details with regards to that at a later time. So that is the time frame we are looking at. So that's what we're looking at. So Akram saying if the wholesaler can buy at $88,000, then what's stopping other investors there from acquiring it and flipping? Yeah, there is no one stopping anyone else to buy. So if the first offer that comes in and it meets the needs of the wholesaler, because I understand the wholesaler is not interested to make big money by doing all of the repairs himself. He just want to make the quick money, the in between. He's just being the middleman. He makes his money maybe 10,000, 20,000, and then the rest goes on over to the investor to flip the properties. Okay. Yeah, so this is an example of, this is the deed that we were issued by the county. So the county is the government sent us the deed. Once we have this for $42,000, we can now have access to the property to start to do the work. So this is how the property looks like on the inside. So the outside, it looks like this. On the inside, usually we buy from auctions, the property may not be in the best shape. So in this case, quite pretty bad, right? So the inside looks like this. The roofing needed replacement. The rest of the parts of the house were pretty bad. So we needed to put in the rehab works. That's what Noble Sky does as a company as well. We do the property management and the rehab. So by the time we put everything up and up to code, the city inspectors will come in and check to make sure everything is up to code. It's livable for human beings. It's going to be safe. That's when we can actually sell it. Right. So that's how we make 95.45% for our investors. Okay. So that's how we do it. So these are the other ways which we acquire properties at great discounts. So to answer some of your questions. So government auctions is what we've done quite a bit of. Motivated sellers are people who sometimes they need to release a property very quickly below market value because maybe they got a new job, they need to change location, they need to shift to the next state, maybe they need to go upstate, or maybe they just needed to liquidate for whatever urgent reasons. We have wholesalers, I've explained that to you. Bank foreclosure is something that we do as well. So basically people can't pay their loans, for example, the bank foreclose on the property, and then it sells off in the auctions as well, right? So to minimum amount that you need to invest and flip for US markets, actually there is no minimum per se, but I wouldn't want to go at a small amount like $5,000, $10,000. Usually I would advise to go 20K and above for the money to make sense, because you want to make sure, remember you got your numbers, your life goals that you want to achieve. So you put in 20K and above, right? That's going to help you grow your money faster, okay? Secret number 2. Now with all of this, you understand, oh, I can buy from so many sources in the US at discounts. Then that's where I can make my money. I can rent it out, and then I can do either rental or I can flip it and then make my money. So how then does a foreigner like me go into the US market and be able to buy? So there must be a legal setup, right? So this is what I'm going to be sharing with you next. I need your attention here because this is how I'm going to show you the structure of how you build, of how you set yourself up in the US, and how do you use unconventional leverage in order to help you grow your portfolio. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Unconventional leverage, first and foremost, means this: you can invest with other similar investors who all decide to put in a certain amount that you want to put in. Okay, and then of course, whatever profit and income that comes in through the investment will go back to the proportion of what you put in terms of the capital that you put in. And then there must be a neutral manager to administer the whole process. So this is what it looks like, okay? So imagine there is a couple from Singapore who's interested to invest in US real estate. That could be you and your family. Okay, we have a family from Malaysia. We have a solo investor from Indonesia. We have different profiles of all other investors as well. Okay, and notice there's a Wyoming state here, and I will show you what it means. Okay, so in order to be legally recognized and set up in the US, for you to start buying US real estate, very simply, you need to set up for yourself what you call a holding company. So for example, the Singapore couple has $30,000. They want to buy into rental properties in the US. They will need to set up a holding company. It's called XYZ LLC in the state of Wyoming. Okay, and say they have another $30,000 and they want to buy into a flipping property, which means they want to flip properties. They need to set up XYZ Inc. in the state of Wyoming. So this Malaysian family has $150,000. We set up for them QRT LLC. This Indonesian investor has $500,000. We set up for him ABC Inc. And the other investors has $150,000 for flipping and $140,000 for rental. Okay, so you have all of these different configurations. So understand all of this are what you call holding companies. That's where you enter the US market legally by setting up a business entity. And business entity is a lot more efficient in terms of when you buy properties. You can buy as an individual, but it's not going to be very tax efficient. Okay, and then the question people usually ask is why Wyoming state? So the state of Wyoming is one of the few states in the US where there are no state taxes imposed. So you do not need to pay taxes to the state of Wyoming, but you still need to pay taxes to the federal government. Okay, so you still need to pay federal taxes. So we set things up for the most tax efficient setup, so investors get to keep your money the most. Okay, so let's take a look at an example. For this Singapore family, Singapore couple has $30,000, not enough to buy into a good flipping property, for example. So what they do is they need to join in together with the other investors to combine the capital as in terms of a co-investment, and they set up what you call 123 LLC here is what we call the operating entity or the buying entity. So now 123 LLC is co-owned by XYZ and co-owned by XXYY. Okay, so now we have a total combined capital of $180,000. They can buy into flip properties, for example, in Jacksonville, Florida. So 123 LLC as the operating entity or the buying entity has to be set up in the state of Florida. Okay, so of course, when it's 180K, when the property is sold for flip and for profits, it needs to be flowed back to the investors in this proportion, which is 16.67% to the Singapore couple and 83.33% to the other investors. Okay, that's the proportion of capital that they put in. Okay, so now the next example. So they have another $30,000. The Singapore couple want to buy into rental property. So again, maybe $30,000 can buy something, but may not be the best type. So they want to look at a particular market where they needed more capital. So 30K, they need to put in together with the other investors, has total of 170K. Again, they set up a buying entity called 777 LLC, and they buy a rental property in Houston, Texas, for example. So this 777 LLC has to be set up in the state of Texas. That's where the property is located, and any income from here, so for example, the monthly rental that comes in, right, need to be paid out to the Singapore couple in the percentage of 17.64% and to the other investors in 82.36%. Okay, I hope you guys understand this. So this is what we call co-investing. That's how you leverage on the community of investors without us using any kind of loans. Okay, now the Malaysian family is 150K, and this is enough to buy a good property. For example, you want to buy into rental property, so we set up for them this buying entity, the operating entity called AAA LLC, and he buys into this solo rental in Niagara, New York. This property, so whatever income or profits coming in from this property will go 100% back to the Malaysian family, right? Because there's no co-investing here, there's no leverage on other investors, so 100% of the money goes back to them. So now similarly for the Indonesian investor, so he's interested to buy flip properties, right? So he has 500K, he decided to buy a higher value property in San Francisco, California, for example. So the 500K is bought into this property, and then when he sells that property for profits, 100% will go back to the Indonesian investor. Okay, you guys get it? Okay. Regarding leverage, is there risk? Okay, so this is where the contracts or the agreements have to come in. Every investor who are involved in the co-ownership have to sign an agreement, the shareholder agreement, so that everybody knows what are your percentages. Okay, Noble Sky as a company is the one that facilitates the whole process. We become the middleman, the managers for the companies, the buying entities, where we will manage all of the properties for you on the ground. Okay. Regarding leverage, are there risks in new regulation? So taxation and things like that are inherent to the country, to the situation in the country, to the policies of the country. So that is not a risk per se, right? This is about what we just need to abide to the law of the land. So if there's an increase in taxes, basically we need to deal with that. So what Noble Sky does as a company is that we help all of the investors to reduce or become the most tax efficient as possible. So we will reduce taxes as far as possible, but we don't evade taxes. So evading taxes is illegal. Tax reduction strategies are totally legal. So that's what we do for our investors. Okay, so I hope that answers your question. So this is how we help investors with small capital. So for example, we had Mr. Majaldi Lewis from Jakarta. This is what he did. He wanted to buy into one Airbnb property. I remember Mr. Majaldi very clearly because he was from the first workshop that we ran in Jakarta. So I remember him saying that he is a retiree. He needed to put his money out somewhere where he can continue to grow and support him in his retirement years. So that's exactly what he did. He bought into this particular property, which he put in $30,000 of his own capital. He did the co-investment. The group capital contribution for this case was actually lesser than this, I think. The numbers here, it's supposed to be $270,000 only, and buying into this property gave him about 8.3% portfolio value growth. This is based on the numbers here. Actually, I need to adjust this. Group capital is about 270,000. So this gave him about a 21% rental yield projected. And I say projected is because he came in where the property has not run yet for a whole year, but we are projecting this particular property in Houston, Texas to do about 21% in terms of the rental returns for him. Okay, so this is how we help people with smaller capitals by leveraging with the other investor community. Okay, and we also have Mr. Julius Wijaja, also from Jakarta, Indonesia. So he went into flipping properties. he got into one property acquired in Jacksonville, Florida. He put his own capital contribution of about $30,000. The group capital contribution was 87.5 this property, but it has a market value of 125K. So that portfolio value grew by 42.8%. And when we sold this property, I think this property is already sold. I got to get the numbers, but we did about there close to the market value. That's the kind of returns that Mr. Julius enjoyed. Okay, so these are the kind of returns that how we help investors with smaller capital amounts to co-invest with other investors. Okay, so a great question by Mr. Akram. If we put in any other legal costs, admin costs, actually that is all inclusive already. So when usually what we do is we tell our investors, okay, you want to buy into this particular property, this particular portfolio, we need to raise a total amount of, for example, in this case, right, 87.5, that's the group capital contribution. So we tell the investors, okay, this property needs 87.5. This 87.5 includes all of the expenses already, right? So admin fees, everything else is already included in this 87.5. So when the capital is raised for that particular property, it really covers. All right, so I hope that explains. Right, so here's how we help Ms. Serinki and her husband from Singapore enjoy great returns from multiple properties in the US. I want you to just take a listen to what she has to say.
Hi, I'm Serene. I used to be a banker dealing with investments, and I handed over more than 100 million worth of funds from my high net worth clients. So I'm actually pretty exposed to all kinds of investments. But from young, actually, I'm also very passionate about investments and always look around for good opportunities. So when I heard about this opportunity from Noble Sky, I felt that it was an interesting idea, the way they did it. So me and my husband decided to invest more than 250,000 into our investments. And I would say that I'm pretty happy with so far with what I see. We have some in near Niagara Falls, and some near New York City, I believe, because we participated in a few. And I think there was also a private auction that was conducted for us. So I'm very pleased with the service. And then I think we managed to get some good buys. And I personally went down with the Noble Sky team on the US tour to see how it's actually done. So it was very interesting, and they really followed to what they have said. It's a very disciplined way of buying US properties. So I'm happy with how it's handled. And actually, one of the projects currently is being the property which I personally saw when I went to the US. It was called Dom Blush. It's actually being rented as an Airbnb property, and that has been giving us decent rental income. Every month we'll be receiving some returns. So I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah. Okay, actually, I went for the course that Noble Sky conducted as well. I mean, they actually show hand and let you know everything that you need to know. I would say, actually, the whole process is not that easy, but however, Noble Sky, they made it easy for us, and I leave it to them really to handle the rest. They got their CPA, they have their team of people, and also they have their own ground team in US looking out for us. So I guess our investments is well taken care of, and I feel comfortable. Definitely, I feel that they are professional, they are responsible, and if you are looking for some investments or some, like let's say, US properties to diversify your portfolio, I think it's a wise choice to go with Noble Sky. This is my take.
Yep. Okay. So that is Miss Serinki and her husband. She's been with us since I think end of early 2018. She's been investing in funds, and she's continuing to receive her returns, which is why she's building a portfolio as well in US real estate. Okay. So here's secret number 3. How do we achieve double-digit ROI with US real estate consistently? Okay. So this is in fact the most important point. If tonight you don't go away with anything, this is one takeaway which I need you to remember. Okay. Why all of the examples you've seen here tonight have been able to achieve double-digit returns, and why it's so important is this. Okay, a lot of us are invested in so many different options. Okay, which is perfectly fine. We have nothing against any other investment vehicles. Obviously, for myself as an investor, I do invest in other investment vehicles as well. But real estate for me is the most serious kind of money that I can make consistently. Okay, so if you are in fixed deposits, you're in stocks. I know stock market right now in the past few days has been pretty scary, right? It's been a sea of red, and suddenly you realize that okay, you do not have any control in terms of the stock market or even crypto. So crypto has also lost its value, I think more than double-digit losses already in January alone. And if you are in businesses or REITs, all of these markets, all of these investment vehicles have their own risks. Okay, but risk aside, the question is, with all of these risks, what kind of returns are you getting? Okay, and does it make sense to you? Okay, now the question is, you have your targeted goals, right? Earlier on, you've shared with me, you want to do your retirement, you want to do your children, for your children, maybe their education, you have a bucket list of things. How can you achieve it? So that's always the biggest question. For me, it's not just about making money. You need to know where, what is the target you want to achieve, all right? So this is what I want to show you a little bit about, okay? So how will it make a difference if you're making single-digit returns from investments versus double-digit returns? What do you guys think? Will there be a difference? Yes or no? Will there be a difference if you make single-digit returns versus double-digit returns? Do you think there will be a difference? Yes or no? Yes. Yeah. Okay, let's look at what type of difference will it make, okay, in terms of your financial numbers. If you want to really invest seriously to make your money grow for your goals that you have set aside. Okay, there are 4 lines here which I want to share with you. So understand, we are looking at an example. Say you have $50,000 in capital right now, and you want to invest it and let the power of compounding do its work for you. Okay, say you have 10 years timeline, which is very similar to where I am right now in my life. I want to be able to retire in the next 10 years. I want my investment to grow substantially so I can get closer to my numbers. Okay, and this is what it looks like. So $50,000, if you have it in the bank right now, you decide to put into an investment, say it's a fixed deposit, it gives you 3% every year. Or maybe for Singaporeans, you have you have your CPF that's paying you 2.5%, right? So you'll be happy, oh, okay, it's guaranteed 2.5%. So in 10 years, that money is going to grow to 67,195.82. It has grown, not too bad, but does this get closer to your numbers? Does it help you get closer to your investment numbers? Is that a yes or no for you? So at a 3% rate, does it get you closer to your numbers? Is it a yes or no? Right, I not even close. Okay. Valentina says no. Radha says not even close. Okay. So you realize then you'll need to do better, right? So we did a 20% line here. If you were doing 20% year after year, that same $50,000 will grow to 309,586. So this is more interesting, right? So obviously you want that same money to grow higher. So what if you're doing 30% a year, and that same amount of money, $50,000, will now grow to 689,292. This is a lot bigger, a lot better, and a lot more exciting, right? Okay, and just for the fun of it, we did a 45% line. If you're doing 45% year after year, what happens is that same $50,000 will grow to $2 million after 10 years of compounding. How many of you, now tell me in the chat, which line would you want to be on? The 3%, the 20%, 30%, or 45% line? Come, give me your numbers. 45. 45. Anyone else? What are your thoughts? Okay, so 45%. So my question would be like, why do I even put in a 45% line? For the fun of it, as I mentioned, we did this because despite COVID, in the year 2020 and the year 2021, for the properties that we flipped for our clients, right, they did an average of 45% in the year 2020 and also the year 2021. So it is achievable, but we're not going to say that it's confirmed we're going to be able to get there. But point is that when it comes to US real estate, it is possible, right? It's because for flipping, for example, we have a number which is 30% minimum for us to achieve for our clients. So that's why we have a 30% line over there, right? How does it work, the compounding ref? I'm not so sure exactly. Maybe you want to clarify that with that question a little bit, but I want to just show you a little bit about what it looks like if you were to be in, say, crypto, right? So can you stomach this kind of volatility? So for example, this was an article last year in Singapore. It says that this meme coin called Army coin, when the coin was actually starting to trade in the exchanges, it went up 78 times its value in a day. So rising back and forth between $1,000 and $78,000 within minutes. Okay, and I think this is crazy. So those of you who have remember your $50,000 that you want to invest, right, to compound and make it grow to reach your financial goals. Imagine you buy in at a point in time where the price was $50,000. You buy, okay, I go all in, I put in 50K. and then it climbed up to 78K, you'll be happy, right? Like, wow, within a few minutes, it has gone up to 78K. But understand, within the same few minutes, it has gone back down to $1,000. What will happen to you? Or what will you do if that was you? $50,000 in money in, and then suddenly in a few minutes, the value drops down to $1,000. Frankly, I wouldn't know. Thank God I'm not in that situation. And to me, exactly like what this article says, this is very risky assets, which is the very reason why the governments want to regulate this, right? Because if you have a lot of money to lose, it's another thing. But for people who are putting in their life savings, and because they want to achieve life goals, for their retirement and things like that, this will mean a lot of trouble. In fact, there was just a recent article a few days ago where someone actually cheated the banks to increase credit so they can use money from the credit cards to buy into crypto, and then the crypto plunged and he actually went bankrupt. It was even crazier. So this was the other headline that we got from the news. So this is from Fortune, says cryptocurrencies lost $205 billion in 24 hours. Okay, this is in 2022. So from Jan 2022 until 21st Jan 2022. This is very recent numbers. You can see Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the Doge coins have gone down by this much. And yeah, if you're in it, if you can afford to hold, then you can hold. But otherwise, I think this probably has caused a lot of people a lot of, how do I put it, unnecessary stress and probably a lot of losses, right? Correct. So Mr. Akram, your question about from the start, it needs to be decided whether it's flipping or rental. Yes, that's a very good question. You're asking very good questions in terms of how you do it on the ground. We will share with you a little bit more information on that later. Okay, allow me to address that for you later. So end of the day, this is the secret. For you to be able to reach your goals that you want to achieve for your retirement, for your children, for your family, is you need consistency, repeatability, and predictability. Okay, so this is how we do it with US real estate. So remember, if you know a property is $180,000, you can buy it at only $50,000. You can already predict the kind of returns you're going to make, which is why we can do this, which is why we can put for every property a 30% minimum ROI, because that's what we are predicting based on all of the numbers on the ground. Put aside divine intervention, but mathematically, this is how we are able to look at the numbers, and since we can predict the kind of returns we can achieve based on the research that we do, and we can repeat this property after property, year after year, and we can do it consistently. That's how you can actually compound your returns, compound your money to the numbers that you want to achieve. So I hope you guys get where I'm coming from. So again, this is the targeted returns that we have for our investments in the US when we do it for our clients. So for flipping, we do a minimum returns of 30%. For rental, if you just want to come in, you just want to do the very traditional rental, buy a property and then get your monthly returns, we target a minimum 10%. And for Airbnbs, right now it's a really, really good market right now for Airbnbs, we target minimum 15% returns. What does this mean for you as an investor? Which means as a client that we are serving, we will present to our investors properties that they can buy into. If they are not going to meet this projected numbers, 30%, 10%, or 15%, we're not even going to be presenting it to you, right? So what we do is we do the deep level research. We've sent our scouts on the ground. They have an actual site of the properties. They've given us all of the approximate costs and things like that. And then we see that, okay, you can hit these numbers. That's when we show it to the investors. Then they make a decision whether it's something they want to get into. Yeah, okay, so that makes 2 million income. So Mr. Maharaja Faiz, so you're talking about getting 1,000 units. So there are, of course, strategies. You may not need to get 1,000 units. What you can do is you can buy into multi-family properties. You can buy into apartment complexes where one apartment complex may consist of maybe 20 to 30 units. So that's a strategy which we do as well for investors who have larger capital amounts. You want to go enter the market with larger capital, you can have access to the bigger properties as well. Okay, so handling 1,000 small units will be a lot more work versus an apartment complex which has 20, 30 units in it, right? So it's going to give you more income as well. So that's what we do for our investors. All right, so here's a rental case study, for example, that we've done, 145K market value for this property. We got this for the investors at 86,004, which includes the purchase price of 56,400. This was in Jacksonville, Florida, right? So rehab 25K, all the other expenses 5K. So the equity gain from this is 58,600. The annual income from here is about $1,000 a month in terms of rental payout, so gives the investor 13.89%. So it's very decent double-digit returns. So remember, we're always talking about double-digit returns. If you want to grow your money seriously, you can't be looking at single-digit returns anymore. You need to look at double-digit returns consistently. So the market is not going to shift. So understand, I know a lot of people will be asking like, the market right now looks so volatile, but the US real estate, or rather the real estate market, is different. It has a different ecology versus the stock markets, for example. Okay, so this is the deed to the property, for example, and you can see how this property looks like, right? So when we got into this property, we acquired this property, it looks like this. So you can see the image here is blue. This was after the rehab, so it looks more decent here. The property when we got it looks like this. It was brown in color. Okay, the interior was really bad. You can see the one climbing in there is actually Ralph. So when we got this property, from, I think this was from the auctions, we asked the county government and they say, look, now the property belongs to you, you've got no keys to it, you decide how you want to get in. So of course, the least expensive way to get in is not to break the door, but to go through a window, which was happened to be unlocked. So that's how getting in. So once we get access to the property, what we needed to do is run the rehab, make sure it looks good, so that this was for rental. So like Mr. Akram was saying, right, when we buy this property, we have decided that this is for the purpose of rental. We've run the numbers, it's going to give about more than 10% rental returns. So we decided we're going to go ahead for this investor. They put in the money, we run the works for them, rehab, and this is how the property looks like after we are done with it. I just love the whole view of this because it looks so much nicer and everything looks nice. How many of you like what it looks like in the after photos? So the before, I think, looks really, really horrid, right? It's really bad. And how many of you like this? I just love the whole view. It makes me feel at peace. So this is what we do in order to get good rental income coming in. Okay, before, this is the before. Mr. Akram, you're asking about the before. This is how it looks like on the interior. Look very bad. Basically everything needed to works to be done. And then we did the rehab works, changed the flooring, a few things, and we put in carpets in the rooms. So this is what it looks like. Okay, so in order for us to get rentals coming in, paying good money, we want to make sure that everything is up to code and livable condition. Okay, so this is how we do it for our investors. All right, so this is Mr. Kamarul Zaman Ghaffar. This is how he added rentals to his portfolio after doing flipping. So he started out with Noble Sky since 2018. He says we're very professional, but every step of the way we keep him informed. And the year 2020, when he decided to include a property rental as well. So a lot of our investors that are with us, they are with us for the long term. So he's with us in 2018 when we opened up our doors to the public, right? For us to serve clients from outside of our family and friends. So these investors come in, they're always increasing their portfolio because it's giving them the kind of money that they are happy with, and the kind of money that they're targeting to achieve. So that's why they're in with us for the long term. Okay, so I want to share with you this video. What we do is on a yearly basis, this was what we had planned before COVID, is to bring people for what we call learning journeys. This was in end of 2019, I think November 2019, where we had about 15 investors join us from Indonesia, from Singapore, Malaysia, as well as Vietnam, joining us to see how we run things on the ground, as well as us bringing them around to look at some properties that they could buy. Okay, so just enjoy the video for a bit, see what kind of properties we're looking at. All right, so I don't know if you caught me with the video in the mirror just now. So this was a nice property in Don Blush Court in Texas, which the investors, when they saw this last property, it looked so good that they decided they were very excited to want to buy this property, because it was, of course, located in a very good location as well. So they told us that this property is actually owned by a family, or rather children of parents who have passed on. But these children, they don't live in Houston, Texas. They live in a different state. What they wanted to do was liquidate this property so they can do their divisions. Okay, so the realtor who was there told us that, okay, they're willing to let go of this property at a good price. And the investors wanted to initially flip these properties this property, and then when we ran the numbers, we decided that, okay, this is actually a property that will do well with Airbnb in the area. So we ran the numbers for them. We told them, okay, this is probably going to work out in terms of Airbnb. Okay, so this property, when we went in, didn't require any rehab at all because it was in a very good condition. So what we did was this particular property, these were the numbers. So it has a market value then was about 370,000. The acquisition, the sellers, the children who own this property, they wanted to sell it for only $270,000. Okay, and understand there's no rehab cost because it was in a very good condition. We only needed to put in furnishings because for us to do Airbnbs, we need to put in furnitures, and then so we spent a total of $285,000 with an equity gain of about $85,000. Okay, so you take 370, you less off 285. That's how you get $85,000. So this was a very healthy equity gain. But this property is not to be sold. It's not to be flipped. We told them let's put it up for Airbnb, and we projected for them an income of $45,000 a year for Airbnb and an ROI of about 15.79%. Okay, so how did this property do when we set this up for them? So this was what it looks like before we can put it up for Airbnb. This is what it looks like on the inside. We had to put in all the furnishings, okay, so that we can put in guests. This property can house about 12 to 16 guests at any one time. So that's how we increase our nightly rates. And this is the kind of income that we did, okay. When we started to put it up, listed on Airbnb, we started to get listing, after listing. Okay, just give me a second. Did I get the battery, please? Yeah, okay, sorry. So I just got a warning for low bet. Right, so we got listings coming in, and then you can see 4 nights, 3 nights, 2 nights. So these things kind of started to come in throughout the year. So this was the kind of numbers that we did for in the year 2020. We started to list it up in August to December alone. We did 20,298 for the investors, and then January, the whole of last year, January to December, we did 52,425. So you guys remember what was the projected income when we did for the investor when we wanted to buy? Do you guys remember? Any of you can remember what was the number that we projected for the investors? For the Airbnb income. Any of you can remember? Type in the chat for me if you can remember what was the target that we set up for them. Any of you paying attention? Okay, great. I'm happy to see the numbers. All right, so you guys are paying attention. So we were targeting for them $45,000 in a year, but this property did better than expected. So we did a total earnings of $72,784 between August 2020 to December 2021. It's 17 months. We did about 26.95 rental yield. If you were to annualize it, we made about 19.02% annualized. Okay, how many of you like this number? That you think this is very decent numbers for you to be earning income, passive income month after month? And this property to this date is still receiving bookings. How much was invested into? A total of $270,000 was invested to buy into this property. With all of the expenses coming in, it brought a total of $285,000. Okay, so understand the property, if you were to sell it, you'll still make your profits from the sale, but now we're doing it just for Airbnb because it's going to give you pretty healthy returns. At a point in time where later it's opportune to sell, we'll probably advise the investors that you can decide to sell later. Okay. So 45K was what we targeted, but we did 52K in the year of 2021. So these very decent numbers, and this is something that we are doing a lot more Airbnbs for our investors as well. Okay, why Airbnbs right now is because of this. Their work and school and everything now can be done remotely, right? And there's a big shift in terms of people's habits, travel habits, working habits. And employers are very open to the fact that you can now work from home. So for these groups of people, what Airbnb has started to see in terms of their data was that now a lot of people, firstly, during the COVID period, started to stay in Airbnbs for the first time. Reason being, they don't want to be in hotels where they are mixing with other people that they do not know. So at least they are keeping within a safe distance of their own family groups. And then what they're doing is 60% of this are longer term stays, which means people are now staying for as long as 28 nights or longer. Why? Because now they can work from anywhere. So it becomes the norm. In fact, in Singapore's context as well, if you are right now, like I'm doing it from a dual office, or sometimes I'm doing it from home, and sometimes I'm doing it from my parents' home, if I don't want my children to be making noise in the background. So I can be doing it from anywhere. So in the US, the trend has been like this. It's a shifting trend. People are working from anywhere. They can have their holidays, At the same time, they can do their work and nobody's gonna bother them about it. So that's why Airbnb has seen on the uptrend and is not expected to go down anytime soon. And especially you have people like Bill Gates who says that most virtual meetings will move to the metaverse in 3 years. This was just end of last year. He said this. So imagine now if you were to have virtual meetings instead of Zoom, it's now virtual meetings with your VR headsets and everything like that. My question to you is, will you need to be in the office still if you are doing virtual meetings? Is that a yes or no? Do you still need to be in a physical office? Right, so you guys know the answer, right? Now, so the trend is moving in such a way that people can continue to do work, people can continue to interact without being in a physical home or physical office. So people can now start to go into Airbnb. You can do your own research, Airbnb trends. Even I think in just 2 days ago, the CEO of Airbnb is just talking about it, how the trend is continuing for the long term. And so you guys should be in the Airbnb market, seriously, in the US. Okay, so this is what Ms. Rubini said. She was very surprised with the more than expected Airbnb rental income. This is what she had to say. She was not expecting this Airbnb rental income. She's in that particular property, Don Blanche. It goes to show that NSI really puts our money and property investment to the best use for us, because they were thinking about initially wanting to flip the property. So we told them that let's do it with Airbnbs. And it turned out to be a very good choice because our research has checked out that this was an area that can give them very good Airbnb returns. All right. So she says that she's truly blessed working with us, and thank you for us. Right. So thank you to Ms. Rubini for being a client with us and enjoying the returns from your Airbnbs. Okay. So now at this stage, which would you prefer? If you want to be an investor in the US, what would you prefer? Airbnbs, rental, flipping, or maybe all of the above? After seeing all of the examples, wow, Linda was fast. All, yeah. So Daisy says flipping, Radha says all, PD says all, Valentina says all. Okay, great. So I'm excited for you guys to get started. So for me personally, that's what I'm doing as well. So I have 5 different properties in the US where I'm involved in flipping, rental, as well as Airbnb. Personally, I like the idea of passive rental income, monthly income on a monthly basis. So Airbnb is what I'm going to build a lot more for my own portfolio, so that I can, enjoy the rental income. So I want to share with you a little bit of a hack. My retirement numbers is $1.5 million by the time I reach the age of 60. And if I were to live to the age of 80, that gives me 20 years. If I were to survive on $5,000 a month, that is why I will need $1.5 million for 20 years. So $5,000 a month is the income that I will need on a monthly basis. So this is a hack. If you have a rental that's paying you $5,000 a month already tomorrow, for example, and this for perpetuity, of course, you can't guarantee the future, but if you imagine the real estate market not shifting drastically overnight, right? You can realize that you have assets that's paying you $5,000 a month or more. You are actually already there. You are actually already reached your targets of $5,000 a month. So for me, that is a hack that I'm going for. I want to get my assets to be paying me $5,000 a month as soon as possible. And the rest of it, of what the numbers that I'm trying to achieve, are just a bonus. I hope maybe that's a bit of a realization for you. So that is a shortcut, is that you have assets that's paying you every single month. You don't need to think about compounding returns as the only formula, but if you have an asset that's paying you every single month, that's going to work out for you as well. Okay. So this is what you guys have learned so far. I'm about to reach the end of my presentation already. First point is about how do you buy US real estate, 50 to 70% discount to the market value. How many of you like this? What you have learned about this? Give me a thumbs up, so I know this is something that you have benefited from. Okay, let me see. All right, thanks guys for. Okay, so I love that. I love this as well. So it was a very good eye opener for me. So the next thing is, which you have learned, is how do you legally set yourself up and own properties using unconventional leverage. How many of you like this one? How many of you thought this was an eye opener? Give me a thumbs up, or give me a hands up, or yes, or something, so that I know that you've actually benefited from this information. Okay, so you guys know, right? Okay, so secret number 3 is how do you achieve double-digit returns with US real estate? How many of you like this one? Secret number 3. All right, great. So Radha, big fan, right? So she likes all of it. So thank you guys for your thumbs up. So I know that I have delivered my purpose. I've shared with you the value I needed to share with you for tonight. So the question is, are you ready for more? Give me a thumbs up or give me a yes so that I can give you a little bit more before we end off the day. All right, great. So you guys are ready for more, right? So if you're ready for more, I want to give you, in fact, bonus resources. That's what is more for me. I'm going to give to you before you leave tonight, so you don't go off empty-handed. It's very simple. Simply, if you have learned a lot of value from tonight, I want you to just help me translate your excitement, translate that knowledge that you've learned by sharing with us how you feel about the lesson tonight in either Google or Facebook review, or by sharing this on your social media. What you can do is take your phone, take a picture of this screen together with you, and then post it up on your social media and tag Noble Sky International. And what you can do is here basically is this. What we're going to give to you is a copy of this webinar replay tonight. So after we've done processing it, we will send it to you. We'll get in touch with you and let you know. And then we're going to give you these resources, 7 simple steps to start investing in the US. These are how you can decide to do it on your own, for example, and 17 research criteria. We are very big on research, and these are the same 17 research criteria that Noble Sky as a company uses for ourselves and for our clients. And this one is the most valuable one of all. These are actual properties that we research, actual properties on the ground that we only give to paying clients. But this is a copy that we've done for investors, and we are giving it to you to have a sample of what you can look at in terms of the type of properties that we identify for investors, okay, for our clients. So if you want to get your access to this, very simply help me spread the word so we can help more people achieve their financial goals through US real estate. So there's a link in the chat already. You can go to Google reviews, go to Facebook reviews, or send us a screenshot and type a few things of your favorite thing that you've learned tonight and tag Noble Sky International. I'm going to give you just about 1 minute to do that so that I can finish off tonight. Okay, so I'm going to give you 1 minute on the clock for you to share your reviews. Once you're done, please let us know in the chat here that you are done so that my team can send you the download links to these resources immediately. Okay, so 1 minute on the clock. We still have about probably 30-40 seconds. Make sure you let me know once it's done. So team, keep a lookout for those who have done it, so you can give them the download links for these resources. So again, these 3 resources together with the webinar replay for tonight, you can share it with your friends, your family, or you can basically review the information, and then, you know, you've got questions, you can come back to us. Right? Okay, you guys okay? Anybody need more time to do this? Okay, so what you're really doing is helping us spread the word. So it's important for us to, part of what our mission is really to help people to get to the numbers, because we believe in increasing the whole investor community. We help, the market is just too huge, right? The more people coming in, it doesn't matter, it's not going to make a difference. Basically, we just want to be able to make sure that after doing this for so long, for the past 8 years, we want to make sure we are giving back and helping people to achieve their numbers. Okay, so that's very important for us. Right, so you guys are done. Okay, let me know if you're done. I'm going to move off. So we're going to just answer this one question. So the question would be, should you be investing in US real estate really? So the big question on people's mind would be like, oh, if they're looking at the markets, they're always asking whether this current market, where there's inflation, where prices of properties are going up like crazy, is this the same as the subprime crisis in the year 2008 and 2009, right? So the reality is not, because the current market is seeing a fundamental issue of demand and supply. Because of the subprime crisis in 2008, 2009, developers has taken a backseat. They've put their handbrakes on building more properties, right? So what has happened is that in the past 13 years, the market has now seen very few homes being added to the market. So on a yearly basis, if they had continued to build according to pace, they would have had 5.5 million more houses right now. So what is happening right now, at the end of 2021, the US is facing a shortage of at least 5.5 million houses that needs to be on the market for housing, for people who needs a house to stay in, for them to buy. Okay, so you understand that right now there's excess demand and very little supply of properties. So now it would be a very good time for you to be a property owner in the US that is selling it to the market, because, you know, in fact, I think we can pull out some of this data. Properties that are being listed in the US market, in the good markets, last for only about 6 to maybe 10 days on the market before they get snapped up. You understand? So this is really, really, the market in the US is really hot. So it's always a good time. It's really, really a good time for you to be in the market right now. Right. So for me, this is a good time to be in. Very different from several other markets where you are facing a supply glut. This is where you want to be in for the next 10 years or so. All right. So understand, with US real estate, you can achieve a double-digit ROI consistently. The question is, can you do this on your own? Okay, so this is what I want you to take a listen very quickly from Datuk Sri Paul Chong from Malaysia, how he has enjoyed working with us with 13 properties that he has, earning double-digit returns. I want you to take a listen to what Datuk Sri Paul Chong has to say.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Paul Chong from Malaysia. As the former CEO of a global investment bank, a private equity fund manager, a lawyer and an accountant, I'm well versed with investment models. Today, I want to share my experience in partnering with Raul Said and Noble Sky International in an effort to build my real estate portfolio, especially in a country that I cannot conveniently reach or be in at all times, such as the United States. For my business and career, I'm based both in Hong Kong and Malaysia, but I've lived and worked in major financial centers around the world, including London and New York. So I know how expensive things can be in order for us to maintain a comfortable lifestyle. Now, I'm a Chinese person, and I'm a firm believer in real estate. Ironically, despite me being a Wall Street investment banker, some 80% of my net worth is in real estate. I have property interests in the United States, the United Kingdom, Hong Kong, Malaysia, Singapore, and Australia, all of which I had to manage personally. Now, you can imagine the pain I go through every year when tax season arrives, right? Because reporting the rental income, the depreciation, the expenses, on all these properties across 6 countries around the world, it's a nightmare. I even have Deloitte do my tax returns for me, right? One of the big 4 accounting firms in the world. Then Ralph offered me something I found very, very useful. A professional team that will help me manage at least one of the countries that I'm invested in, the United States. From search to acquisition, from refurbishment to letting and sale. It's something that also can be structured on a profit-sharing basis. Now, as an investment banker, I love profit-sharing schemes because that gives my partner, in this case, Noble Sky, the utmost incentive to do the best they can, to realize the highest profit they can, rather than working for me or with me for a fixed fee. As a foreigner in the United States, I'm now assured that I can safely and comfortably own many properties in the United States, even without stepping foot, in the US. Noble Sky offered a business model that makes perfect sense to me. And that part of my business is now, if you like, run by a professional team that does not need my input or time at all. So I get time to focus on other businesses and family. Say, the 3 things that I value in them. Number 1 is their presence in the United States. I made a mistake previously buying half an office block in Melbourne, totally unseen. So my friend and I were sharing this, and we the realtor or the real estate broker showed us the building on Google Earth. We signed it, cut them a check while we were in Hong Kong, and that was it, right? That turned out to be a bit of a mistake because nothing beats what we call shoe leather investment in real estate. The ability to walk the streets, search the local databases, compare transactions across similar properties, understanding the local market, talking to local realtors, right? Getting a deep sense of the community, the demographics, and so on. So that is important. Number 2, Ralph has a professional team that is highly experienced, not just as buyers, but as a team that can pull together the required labor and professionals for the renovation, refurbishment, and the ultimate sale, all at acceptable costs. And finally, what I find truly intoxicating is the drive that I see in Ralph and his team. They work tirelessly to manage, that property portfolio for us. So since 2018, my group of investors in Noble Sky, under Ralph's guidance, have acquired 13 properties in New York and Florida states combined. Some of these we have achieved exits with fantastic returns. To draw an example, 6 of the properties we sold in Florida made us between 30 to 59% profit. And the 3 we sold in New York State, we were very happy with the exit, and one of them made us 85% in profits. So I want to thank Ralph, ICE, and the Noble Sky team for making my life easy as I venture into the real estate business in the United States. It's something that I can't do because I'm not in the US all the time, and they have been giving me returns that I will never dream of attaining in Malaysia. So if you have the chance to work for Ralph or work with Ralph and the Noble Sky team, do try and take the opportunity to do that as soon as you can. Thank you.
All right, so that's Dato' Sri Paul Chong. Thank you very much, Dato' Sri Paul Chong, for being with us since 2018 as well, so still has his portfolio with us. So that's how basically we've been helping him manage his portfolios to continue to receive great double-digit returns. You guys want to check out Dato' Sri Paul Chong, he's quite big on LinkedIn. Go ahead and check him out and to find out more a bit about what he does. Okay, so Noble Sky really is the only company in Asia that helps you invest safely, securely, and profitably in US real estate. You can do a Google search out there. There isn't any other company that's based outside of the US that's helping you do this for the Asian investor. So we have a very Asian-centric perspective because we are Asians ourselves and we serve the Asian investors, but we give you access to US real estate. Okay, that's what we do best for you guys. Right, so remember, these are the compounded returns that you want to be able to achieve for yourself. This is what you want to be able to do. Then I want you to think about this seriously, and we can help you get there, but we only work with certain groups of people. After doing this for 8 years, we have met with so many different types of client base. And now we have decided that we're only going to be able to work with people that whom we can really get along with, and we need these people. I do have to be someone who meets this criteria if you decide you want to work with us to help you get double-digit returns and grow your numbers. Okay, first and foremost, you need to believe that US real estate can give you superior returns and can help you achieve your financial goals. So obviously, if you don't think it's going to help you get there, then you shouldn't even think about US real estate, and you're good to go. Try your hand at some other investments. Go ahead, by all means. We'll be happy about for you, right? And the next thing, you are willing to work in partnership with Noble Sky and trust in our ability to deliver results for you. Okay, understand this is a partnership. This is not you putting a fund. That means this is not some kind of, we don't run a fund where you put in money into a fund and then we use that money to invest. This will go into, we are your property managers. We manage and facilitate the investments on the ground, but you will be the full property owner. So the title deed to properties will be titled to you, not to Noble Sky. Okay, if you understand that you are willing to work with us in partnership and deliver the results to you, then maybe you're someone we can work with. And then importantly, you have the mindset of an investor and businessman. Okay, why this is really, really important is because understand that real estate is a hard asset. It's unlike buying crypto, it's unlike buying stock from the market, right? There's real work that needs to be done. So you want to achieve your double-digit returns, Noble Sky as a company need to come in and do the work for you. So there will be turnaround times. There will be times that's required to turn an ugly property into a pretty property so that you can sell it for huge profits. Okay, and sometimes because this is a real hard asset, sometimes things may not always go the way we want it to go. Right, we're not saying lose money because no one in our investor group has lost any kind of money. But what we're saying is sometimes there could be delays. So, for example, right now, in the US is winter season. For a good period of like maybe 2 to 3 months, the properties on the exterior, because of so much snow, we cannot get access to doing any kind of work on the outside. Right, so that will delay works. But however, once the weather turns for the better, we can get work done and then do the turnaround and make sure the property is up and ready for you to sell and make your profits. So we need you to understand that there are real work that needs to be done on the ground. And the last point here, we can only work with you if you take a long-term view. I know that you can see some of the examples are doing very good returns, 95% returns, 40% returns. 13% return on the rental, things like that. Very good numbers, but we need you to understand this is not a get-rich-quick scheme. We need you to take a long-term view on running US real estate as an investment because you want to be able to achieve your financial goals. This is what we do for you, okay? So how do we do this? Is very simply, again, as I mentioned to you, we have nothing for sale tonight, right? There's nothing that for me to sell to you. So unfortunately, some people, maybe they want to know about what package or whatever it is that we want to sell to you. There's nothing. Nothing because it's pure sharing of information. If this information syncs with what you want to do for yourself in terms of the investments you want to achieve, then if you think you want to work with us in achieving these numbers using US real estate, very simply, my team, please share the link for the form. This form is a very simple Google form where you will fill in your name, you fill in your investment goals, and what are you looking at in terms of your expectations. So, and there's a few questions that we need to find out as well. So if you do not have if whatever you fill in, for example, if you were to fill in information that is unrealistic, right? So for example, you say you have a capital of $50,000 and then you want to be able to achieve $1 million, you want to grow it to $1 million in the span of just 1 year. Then we will say that it is something that is impossible for us through US real estate, so we're not going to be able to work with you, right? So we want to make sure we'll be able to meet your expectations, and then you can also meet our expectations as clients. Then it's maybe something that we can work out with you, right? So the link is in the chat. If you want to work with us in terms of getting your real estate journey in the US started, then fill in the form, and then we'll get to know you better. So it's already 10:20 tonight. We're not going to be, if you fill in the form, we're not going to respond to you tonight. Give our team a chance to recover from the night shift. Tomorrow, by end of the day, we will get in touch with you, okay? After looking at your responses, after we consider your directions, then if we think that we are a good fit, we'll get in touch with you so that we can actually, decide whether we want to work something out or not. Okay, so do expect a call from us by the end of the day tomorrow. Yeah, because it's going to be the weekend, so we don't want to disturb you over the weekend. So just take note that we're probably going to give you a call, and then we can decide from there whether how we can proceed. Okay. Now at this stage, I'm already done at the end of my presentation already. I do not have anything else to share with you. What I want to be able to do is just get your help to help us get more of this information out there by simply giving us your reviews on social media or on Google or Facebook, and we'll be very, very grateful to you for helping us spread the word. We'll send you the webinar replay as well as the bonus resources that you see here just for being with us tonight, and this will all be given to you once you share the reviews for us. Okay, so I know some of you have already done that earlier, so team, make sure you don't miss out. PM them the download link immediately so they can get access to it. So for the rest of you, now I'm just going to spend the next 2 or 3 minutes to take any questions that you may have. Remember, we've covered secret 1, 2, and 3. Any questions about those or anything else that you're thinking about, let us know as well. So I will address your questions in the next 2 to 3 minutes. Okay. Let me see. There was a question earlier about. Let me see. Is regulated how investors fund scheme? Okay. Good question. So if you're asking for MAS regulation, we are not MAS regulated. In Singapore, we're not MAS regulated because we operate the product and the service is outside, which is in the US. So we do not work within Singapore side in terms of MAS regulation because the product. So our agreements, our contracts, everything are stipulated through US laws in the US. Okay, so your buying entity, your holding entity in the US will be in a contract with Noble Sky International as your property managers in the US. Those will be the documents that you'll be signing. If you come on board as a client, as an investor, that's how we'll be doing it. Okay, so again, in terms of funds security, basically the money that goes into the US will be paid into the properties that are acquired. Once that is done, you will be able to see your registration. First and foremost, you will see your company, for example, in the state of Wyoming, right? You can see from the website, the government website, you can see your company already registered, so you know you are already legally set up. The next thing is the property, once it's acquired, your funds have reached to the US and say it's a successful acquisition, the property will be titled to your business entity in the US. So you know that the transaction has gone through and everything is done there. So basically that's how we do it. I hope that answers your question. Anyone else has got any questions, please go ahead. I'm just going to spend the next 1 to 2 minutes to take any of your questions, okay? Yeah, thanks Daisy for sharing the form. So again, if you think this is something you want to do, US real estate, something you want to explore for 2022 and beyond to help you supercharge and accelerate your financial numbers that you have been trying so hard to target, right? Because if you are in the stock market, suddenly all your value has gone down. I think I had a recent investor who came on board again because he put a lot of his funds in Alibaba. And then what happened was that it was back in 2021 where, you know, the China government started to clamp down on Alibaba and a few other of the Chinese giants. So that happens, and his value, the share value dropped, and that's how he got very frustrated and realized that he cannot be in a market where he has very, very little control. Okay, so real estate is something that, end of the day, especially in the US, it's really about demand and supply, and that's where it becomes a lot more secure and predictable. Okay. Eunice has a question about how to buy property with zero money. Eunice, I don't think I can answer that question. Frankly, we do not. Some people may encourage this and some strategies with zero money. There's no real true zero money buying properties, right? So unless you are doing what you call leveraging from the banks, so technically it's not your own money, you use other people's money. That's not something that we endorse, right? If it's zero money, probably it's not something that potentially could be a scam or it's not legal, right? So I'm not sure where you get information from, but we don't have such strategies where you buy a property with zero money. Okay, so this is really about serious, actual buying into hard assets that can give you great double-digit returns, right? Any other questions? I hope that answers Eunice's question. But if you have information about that, to legally buy properties with zero money, then maybe you want to share with us, or share with the rest of the audience here. Right. So just 1 more minute on the clock for anyone else who has questions. Again, if you want to check us out, here are our contact details for Noble Sky International. We are headquartered in Singapore. Our office is registered at 3 Fraser Street in Duo Tower. In the US, we are registered as Noble Sky Core LLC. And you can check us out on social media as well. We are on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. I think these days we have TikTok channel as well as, we're trying to be everywhere. The idea is we want to spread the word because we think that US real estate is something that can help people change their financial directions, help them achieve their financial goals. And that's why we want to be able to share this as much as possible. Again, we still need your help to spread the word, all right? So I have really taken your time and I appreciate every single moment of having you here. Thank you so much for spending the time with me. Again, any questions that you may have, you can let us know. People who have been in touch with you, reminding you to attend for this webinar. For this webinar, you can get in touch with them as well. Otherwise, for those of you who want to take this seriously, to take the next step, go ahead and fill up the form. We'll be happy to get back to you by end of the day tomorrow. Okay, so that's it. Thank you everyone for your time. Again, I love spending time sharing this information. Again, we'll be back after Chinese New Year for other webinars that we're going to be running again. We hope by then, by the end of 2022, we'll be able to onboard a few clients that's going to be able to enjoy US real estate, giving them great returns, like the people you have seen here tonight on our webinar. All right, so thank you again, people. Questions, go ahead and get in touch with us. Otherwise, I bid you goodbye and farewell and take care. Bye-bye.